Welcome everyone to the Lynx at Fort Dragonia Chrono Cross race. Right now we have agDeeds versus CarbonDrank. And for commentating we have Azrael Hobbs, we have Handy, we have Doc and Corporate Image. And without further ado, I'll leave it to the commentating and runners. We'll do a quick countdown and everything will be good to go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good luck, runners, and I'll leave you in the very capable hand of the commentary team.
Well, welcome everybody. Yeah, the race is now just getting off. We're going to see what third character everybody starts with.
Orcha
No one got
Fargo.
Korcha.
Favorite of Carbon's?
Yeah, if Carbon would have started with Korcha again, I would have said he's cursed in races.
He still got part of the family, so it works.
That's true.
But it looks like Deeds got Fargo, the best starting character.
I will say Fargo seems to give me good luck. He seems like a good luck character.
Speak for yourself.
Oh no, different experiences.
Yep.
You know the character that Carbon got? He does make the best horchata.
Oh no, that might be a world record for the quickest pun in CC.
Wait,
Yeah, so we see everybody starting off. This is the dream sequence. The major challenge that they have to go through is to dodge the bats and the Cybots. And it's not always easy to do, because the bats will give you some interesting patterns every now and then. It looks like so far both runners are off to a good start.
Yeah, I mean, the bats are almost always avoidable. The problem is just that, like, unfortunately, there are some ways that like, you can just block your path to where, well, Carbon's actually going to get it. So he's going to have to, oh, this is interesting. He's not going to hide under the bridge. That's an interesting way to dodge that. I didn't know about that. A lot of times you have to hide underneath the bridge and just let the bat pass you.
Also an interesting choice of having Orcha in front for the entirety.
He does have a great run,
Yes.
you have to admit.
That was a very interesting dodge. Have any of y'all seen that before?
I actually have not.
I knew about it. I've never done it before, but I've seen a couple of runners like go up the stairs to get around the bat.
I was about to say,
It's-
Carbon's hiding there's some strats from us.
It's probably a very negligible difference between just waiting
Yeah.
under the bridge, but still, it's kind of cool. I think he just wanted to be flashy. with
Probably
Orcha.
so. It's kind of, I mean, both of them are basically even, leaving the dream sequence, which is good. No one got into any encounters. That's the big thing. Monitor Dinha in chat says, being a speedrun probably means we'll do PR route for Viper Manor. Yes, that is the route. I believe Miss Carbon was talking about maybe doing a guile route. Someone confirm or deny if he was joking. I'm not 100% sure.
I don't actually think he was joking, because he was actually routing it out the other night. So I would say it's a very high possibility of it happening.
So I will say you're right. That is the route for the speedrun. What Carbon is, it'll be interesting to everybody, including us.
Yeah, I remember a little bit about what to do on Guile's route, so I won't be completely lost. But if he does it, which sounds like he will, should be interesting, no matter what.
Like, I've seen the route. Like, that's what I used to take whenever I played the game casually. But I'm gonna be interested in seeing how he makes it speedy, or at the very least, not speedy.
So as Serge wakes from the dream, fun fact, you can go right under the bed, and Serge has a stash like Carbon's picking up. Wow, very nice. So that extra gold can be used to purchase antidotes, which is kind of useful for the run, but generally speaking, you don't want to spend the time to go pick up that extra gold just to get an antidote. So, surprised Carbon picked it up, but
I do wonder, and the only reason this is a slight worry, because I was watching Bomb do a casual playthrough of this like last week before learning the run, and he took the Guile route. And in the Guile route, he happened to get hit by a element by one of the enemies over there. That's a blue element, and was had the flu through the entirety of the manor because we don't have any medicines yet. So I'm wondering, like, what are the chances of, like, is he gonna buy some stuff just in case? I don't know what he's worried about in terms of like using the Guile route for the speedrun.
Yeah, for those who don't know much about this game, certain status effects actually affect you on the overworld outside of battle. And the flu condition that Handy's mentioning, what that does is it makes it so that your movement is, you essentially move in zigzags, and you have little control over it. So, for another one is the sprain condition, which makes it so that you're unable to run. But that's a condition that appears in the any percent category, not so much this category here.
And to add on to the flu status, it even carries over to when you're on the boat. So
Sure.
it's kind of funny to see.
So even on the Guile route, they still collect the motor scales and go to a passive beach, right?
Yep. That's just
Are
part
you-
of like.
Are you
Okay.
sure about that?
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Yeah.
we
So.
saw... Oh, go ahead.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, we saw Deeds and Carbon edit their menu. What they did is they purchased 2 fireballs and equipped them onto Serge in the first slot and the third slot. And we're gonna make use of that throughout this area here. We'll see what kind of encounters they get, but we're looking for certain enemies in the encounters so that they could be speedy fights and potentially drop the drops that we need. And we're looking for a feather drop, humor drop, and a fang drop.
In Deeds' encounter, she got 2 of the sand squirts and the Komodo, which gives her a chance at 2 of the items that we need. The rare drop from the Komodos is a feather, which saves about 15 seconds from having to do the backup. And the sand squirts can potentially drop fangs. We need 1 fang at least, like I think Corporate mentioned. Oh, she got a fang.
Yeah, so the blue sand squirt enemies have a 90% chance to drop the fang that we need. The Komodo pups, which is what we're encountering, that lizard that just ran away there on Deed's screen, they have a 10% chance to drop the feather, which is what we want to see. Otherwise, they'll drop bones.
So I do know that Carbon is someone who is fine with doing Ivory Dagger manners usually. I don't know if, because like y'all said, he was routing out the Guile route. I don't know if the Iron Dagger is something that he's gonna for sure try to force for the Guile, doing the Guile route instead of the PA route.
Yeah, I think we're gonna come across a couple surprises with what he's got in store for us.
Yeah, so Carbon ran into the beach bum encounter on the log, which is optional. Generally, you want to try to skip it if you can. He did get the humor drop from it, though. Deeds skipped it, but doesn't look like Deeds got the beach bum encounter for the Komodo pups. I mean, she's going to have to go later at Cape Howell to go fight an extra fight for the humor drop.
Now, if Carbon does actually choose to do the Guile route, which is seen, of course, is slower than the PA route, but he's going to take. And just to let you know that Carbon has already won 3 of these races and is guaranteed a position in the quarterfinals. So he's actually decided to use this race, I guess, to test out the new routing, which is interesting. Well, we'll see how it goes, and you get to see it live.
Yep, that's true. On agDeeds' screen, we see her doing the last Komodo fight, which actually has a star fight or a boss fight come out, which is the Mama Komodo. From this fight, we're going to see at the end of it certain stat ups potentially go up. And if you've never seen Chrono Cross before, that's exactly how like leveling kind of works. You don't necessarily need to grind for levels. You just kind of hopefully get the certain stat ups that you need for certain characters, which is for Serge, we're mainly going to be looking at his strength. And we're going to be hoping to see that go from 9 to 10.
Yeah, Deeds did not do the fireball, the low damage fireball first, so that fireball +2 that she did use was a little low on damage. But fight's over for her, so let's See if she does get that +1 to strength. Or magic, both are important, but
I do know that she did get a fang. I don't think she's had a feather yet, and I don't think she has fought any beach bums to even potentially get a humor.
oh,
Ooh.
well, that was quite a level up for Deeds, but no
Yeah.
feather. So she is
So-
lacking a feather and a humor.
Right, and I don't think that she's a proponent of doing the ivory dagger. So I imagine that even though it looks like she's ahead of Carbon right now, Carbon is probably technically in the lead because he already has a humor. He won't have to take a fight in KPL.
I believe she has done Ivory Dagger at least once in the tournament so far, right?
I think that is true. I think, but right before that race, she had talked about how she didn't want to, but the game kind of forced her to because I think
gotcha.
she got a
yeah.
copper drop from Salt or something.
Yeah, we could talk about it a little bit more as it shows up, but Deeds has the opportunity to, at K-Pow, fight 2 enemies instead of 1, 2 encounters, because the first encounter will hopefully give her the humor drop she needs, but she might opt to go for the second one, which she could get a potential strength up from that, or just mini level up. Not sure if she will go for it, but we'll see what she does.
Chrono Cross has this mechanism where after the boss star levels, after so many battles, there is a potential mini star. And most of them aren't taken even in the any percent run. There's only a couple because random encounters, most of them are not required. So you don't see very many of those. But since after the first star, it's only 2 battles, you might see people actually take that second one to get a strength up.
Yep. And just to kind of add on, since we're talking about it at the moment, the good thing about the mini stars is that if you do get one, like if say that Deeds decide to take the mini star chance, if she got a strength there, that means that she will also get a strength from Car Salt and Pepper because the mini star will reflect what the star coming up gives you.
Yeah, the downside is that if she doesn't get the strength up stat, she most likely will not. I still have yet to disprove that, but so far it's 100% guarantee that you won't get that strength up.
Yeah, I believe that's. I think that I think that it's 100%. That's what I've been told, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I know you can get a +1 on the mini star and then get a +2 on the big star afterward. But so I'm wondering if, like, what happens? You might get the +2 if you don't get anything, but I've not seen that before or heard anybody saying that before, so I'll just
Right.
assume that it's not true until I see it from my own eyes.
And I believe it is also not possible to get a +2 on a mini star.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I
Right.
think that's correct. But anyway, we're all talking about stats right now. Stats come into play for Chrono Cross speedruns as more as a means of saving time versus just like necessity. You can have incredibly low stats going into any sort of category for the speedruns, and it can be quite a challenge to just finish, but it's possible to finish. So we'll just kind of keep track of their stats as they go along, and hopefully nobody falls too far behind or too far ahead
Right.
to get to just a big advantage over the other. But on average, they should be competitive. So I think both got the +1 strength at the end of their Mama Komodo fight, so they're both at 10. So equal playing field.
Yep, exactly. And in terms of story, we see both of them waking up on the beach after essentially like what looked like drowning. And they're both gonna head back through Lizard Rock, and we're gonna see it look a little bit different, have a little bit different enemies running around, just so we can go back and talk to Lena, see what's going on. We will see Deeds, yeah. She's got to go do the backup feather because she didn't get the drop from the Komodo. Weirdly enough, I think we all call it the backup feather, but it's almost like the default feather, and then you just don't get it if you happen to get the rare drop.
Yeah, so all these materials we're talking about, the feather, the humor, the fang, they're going to be used to upgrade the weapons coming up. One for Serge and one for Kid later on. And it will make the rest of the run considerably easier thanks to those upgrades. That is why we place so much emphasis on talking about it. But So we saw both of them go collect the feather. It's just in that center island there. And that's about a 15, 16 second time investment to go pick it up, depending on how quick you are. So getting that rare drop just saves you that time.
That was also
Fortunately, none of them got it.
Yeah, that was some interesting movement. I don't know if you saw Deets, but normally if you already have the feather, you can just run straight and you'll never get hit by that fish. But the way she did it, she like ran up and then back down. It seemed to work like perfectly.
I actually did see that. I made a mental note of that because usually what I do is I do like this weird timing walk thing to try to get behind it. But that actually looked like it was a lot more safe how she did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, continuing on for the route of the story. Right now, we basically went and talked to Lena like we had previously mentioned we were trying to do. And then Lena's basically talking as if she doesn't recognize us, doesn't know us. And so we're obviously a little bit confused. And she's going to tell us that, Serge, the guy that she knew that we look like, drowned. Well, I forget if she mentions how many years ago, but she does mention he drowned whenever they were kids. And that no one's been up to his gravestone in a little bit. So she wants us to go to Cape Hal and go visit his gravestone, where surely nothing interesting is going to happen.
Nice. So Lena's little sister Una is that girl dragging, looks like a bag behind her. Sometimes she just gets in your way, like any traditional JRPG. Your random NPCs will just walk right in front of you. Didn't happen for Carbon though. He got lucky.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, so this is where we're going to see probably Carbon overtake in terms of the lead, just because, like we had mentioned, Carbon won't have to take a beach bum here.
I bet Silver's pretty bummed about that.
I guess it would be a good time to start mentioning the battle system. Hobbs, you want to take that? You don't have to explain everything about the battle system, but just the basics at least.
The introduction.
The introduction. Well, basically there are each of your characters have 3 melee attacks. There's the 1, the 2, and the 3. They all start with 7 stamina, and then each of those attacks use up a set number of the stamina, depending on which the 1 or 2 or the 3 that you use. The 1 is the lowest or the highest accuracy, but it does the least amount of damage. The 3 is the lowest accuracy, and it does the highest amount of damage, and it also has a chance to crit. And then by doing those attacks, you build up your element level, as you can see above the health meter there, or above the health numbers. And that's when you're able to use your elements.
Ooh, okay. So Deeds went for the extra beach bum, did not get the humor drop, but did get the strength up. So she will be guaranteed at least a +1 on this fight. Whereas Carbon might not.
At post this car salt and pepper fight, Deed is guaranteed to be at 12, which is actually pretty high.
It's paying off.
Yeah, and over on the Carbon side, we see him going into the second boss fight of the game. And since this is kind of like an introduction fight as well, or like a tutorial fight, you're going to see Carbon defend like he just did. Just because until Salt attacks Serge, which kind of cues up some dialogue, all of the attacks you do is just really wasting time. You can't really do any damage to them. And so you're going to see dialogue start up here for Carbon. And now post this, then we can actually start the fight.
I'll pretty much says, "Hey boss, I found out his element. It's white. Therefore, we need to attack with black." And then Pepper's like, "Oh no, we didn't bring any black with us." And Car's like, "You nincompoops! How could you not bring every colored element?"
That is exactly what's been like in my head.
Yeah, so in this fight, one things we look for runner's sake is to keep track of Kid's damage output. Depending on how much damage she does with her attacks, both the magma bomb and her 2 attack, you can determine if she's at a +1 to strength or +1 to magic. And then when you know that, you can kind of adjust your strategy a bit, taking it or being able to deal with this fight as efficiently as possible. However, this is Chrono Cross, and the chance of missing is very high. So you never know what's going to happen. And so when that happens, you just kind of, you know, throw your strategy out the window and do whatever you need to do to finish the fight as quickly as possible. Looks like Deed's got a really good start on her fight.
I think that, like what you just mentioned, actually is one of the things that makes Chrono Cross a really fun and interesting run to do, is because like we have certain battle strats that we try to follow, but because missing is an inevitability, and just like other factors that we haven't really talked about yet, like there's a lot of things that can go differently in the fight, and it makes adapting on the spot a pretty big part of speedrunning Chrono Cross. I missed it, but I'm pretty sure Carbon got the drops he needed, and I didn't see if he got a level.
He did not get his
Didn't
strength up. He's still at 10. So Deeds is going to pass him on strength. I mean, she already did, but she'll keep the lead, at least in that regard.
Yeah, and I guess it's a good time to mention, because we do know that Deeds is going to be getting the strength, and she's going to be 2 strengths above Carbon leaving here. So in Chrono Cross, having good strength is obviously really good. But one of the things that, like we just talked about, is that having that strength does not necessarily mean you're automatically going to be faster. There's no guarantee that you're going to have good strength and you're going to hit. And if you can't hit, then it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it should be noted that for the speed runs, typically our strategies for dealing with all the bosses and regular fights in this game usually involve you doing melee attacks, like with what we're doing. Wow, that was a triple miss from D. That was unfortunate. But casually, elements are stronger, much stronger, and they're guaranteed to hit for the most part. But the problem with elements is that it takes time for them to be cast, and you have to build up your element grid so that you can cast the element. So some parts in the run we do make use of the elements to do damage, but for the most part, especially any percent, it's a melee-based run. He's got some really unfortunate luck with hits and misses there at the end.
I see, like, I missed if that's exactly what we were talking about, but I see the discussion on elements happening in chat right now.
Wow.
And he got Power Glove as well.
Deeds is
so strong right now. But I would say that elements are useful. Like we saw us using fireballs in the first section. But the reason that elements aren't used everywhere is just, 1, they drain 7 stamina, and 2, they're slow. Most of them are slow compared to doing physical attacks. That's the big thing. Is just not whether or not like they're powerful or whether or not they're, you know, this or that. It's just most of the time it's not worth the time investment of using the element.
Yeah.
We also see.
Oh, go ahead, Andy. Go ahead. Yeah.
I was just gonna mention that we already see Carbon had done it, but you see Deeds right now. She's doing a big part of the route for any percent and Lynx too, which is saying no to Kid 3 times, because we want to put Lena and Poshul in our team. Mainly Lena, because we need Lena. She's gonna be very important in the section after the manor. But take it away, Corp. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no worries, no worries. Yeah, I was just gonna mention that part of like the battle system, because there's a lot to the battle system, but you don't have to understand too much of it to just enjoy the game. Part of it is on the upper left-hand corner of the battle screen. You have the element field effect, and that is a series of 3 concentric ovals, I think, that kind of lets you know what elements and what attributed characters. So like Kid is a red element based. If there's a red on the field, her damage is boosted. If there's a blue on the field, her damage is reduced. So part of that comes into the strategy of how we deal with fights, because sometimes we want to remove element field effects off the field, and other times we want to put them on the field to boost our damage output. So every boss fight ends up being like a little puzzle, at least for the speedrun, in order to finish the fight as quickly as possible. And it's really a lot of fun, at least in my opinion, because every fight's a little bit different. But the fight coming up on Carbon's side, the Salt and Pepper fight, is I'd say one of the worst fights in the early game. Because at this point, our hit percentage is at an all-time low, and we're going to need Poshul and Serge to hit their attacks. And Poshul doesn't like to hit. She has to go for the fierce attacks that do a lot of damage but have a low chance of hitting. And, well, this fight can last quite a while without guaranteed hits. But I did see Carbon pick up the Magma Bomb, so I didn't see him equip it, but he might use the Magma Bomb strat here, which makes the fight a little bit more consistent.
He also might have picked up the Magma Bomb as per like whatever he's gonna do for the Guile route as well.
Ah, I see.
And since this is another tutorial battle, the damage is not calculated until after they're done with their explanation, much like the very first fight against them. So that's why you saw him defend first and wait until he did the turn black.
Yeah, I do believe so. There's like one or two more of those as well in the beginning here, but that's gonna be a common thing I think going across these first few fights. I'm interested to see if Deeds is gonna be hitting, because if Deeds is hitting, Deeds is gonna go pretty fast from her strength.
What is she at now?
She's at 12 with the Power Glove. Well, I don't know if she's gonna put the Power Glove on right now, but she is at 12 and she has a Power Glove.
Yeah, so in Carbon's screen, we saw Pepor use a move called Pepper Box, and that does a lot of damage. But the only one who's really in danger of getting knocked out in the fight is Lina, because she's blue element, and red element does extra damage to her. Carbon got pretty lucky, so Lina did not get targeted at all. But we want Lina to get the level up after this fight. One, we want her to get a lot more HP, as much as possible, and her magic value is going to come into play later on in the run. We talk a lot about strength early in game, but magic is going to be a big factor the second half of this run.
Yeah, I think Carbon has been like, this fight is not gone as well as you like for it to. Like you had mentioned, Corp, there's a lot of misses that can happen in this fight and do happen in this fight.
As Carbon ends the fight, Deeds starts the second tutorial.
Oh, he's still at 10. We're starting to see the juxtaposition in their strengths in the early game.
So we've talked about strength ups, or just stat ups in general after specific star battles or boss battles. The only time I believe that characters do not get stat ups is if they're dead. So even if they're out of the party, they still get the stat up. So that is why it's very important here to make sure for Lina to be alive at the end of this fight, because you do want her magic to go up, as like Corporate was talking about.
Yeah, throughout the game, every character in the game that can be gotten in the run or playthrough will get a level up on every star fight. So they'll at the very least get some HP. So that way, whenever you do collect your party member, which could be an hour from now, 10 hours from now, whatever, they'll be comparable to your own team. The only thing, as Hobbs mentioned, characters that are in the party that get knocked out in the fight, they don't get the level up. And only characters inside the party will get the mini star. So that's the second thing. So if you're planning on fighting a whole bunch of enemies casually and building up your party, they don't get the benefit. The characters outside of your party don't get that benefit of the mini star stat ups.
I've ran this game for a while, and I learn some small new thing every time I'm on commentary here. I actually didn't know that they didn't get mini stars.
Nice.
Oh,
yeah,
actually,
there's always
I did
something
not
to
know
learn
that.
about this game. It's a fascinating game, just casually, lore-wise, and then speedrunning-wise. It's a lot of fun.
Well, if all characters got the mini stars, then there'd just simply be 2 mini stars.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I like that one. Also,
7 out of 10.
we keep harping on it, but like it's kind of like we're getting to see the side besides of like how the beginnings can pan out here. We see Carbon, who is still at 10 strength, gotten 1 strength because we start at 9, and Deeds, who not only got the Power Glove and the Mini Star, has gotten every stat up or every star up as well. She's at 13 with the Power Glove here.
Oh, did
Yeah,
you
that's
catch Carbon's kid's strength?
Yeah, it was 8 for Carbon, so that's pretty average. You hope Kit could be anywhere from 6 to possibly 10, I think. But normally she's 7 or 8.
Well, Pog, everybody, Carbon is committing. He is in the bar talking to Guile.
Yeah, Yes, who is
Yeah.
the strange man in a mask?
I'm kind of hyped about this. I want to see how this goes.
Well, he does have to see Korcha, so I'm
I'm
not
less
as
hyped
hyped.
about this now.
Well, the bluffs path is pretty dangerous. So, especially
It is.
the boss fight at the end of that. So this could be very interesting. It's not something we see often anymore.
So I have no idea how to interpret the data, but Carbon's Guile is at 11 magic. I have no idea if that's good or bad, but it's probably pretty good.
I guess if we can,
See, I was gonna say that's the issue, is that like when we talk about good and bad stats, we know based off like plenty of anecdotal experience watching a lot of runs, you know, like how it usually plays out when you're at this, that, or whatever. We have no context to what what's a good stat value for Guile here in terms of like speed run.
Yeah, so it
I
looks
will
like
say
Dine came to the rescue saying that Guile's base magic is 9. So he's gotten a +2 so far, which is decent. Because Lena also starts at 9, and her being at 11 at this point is pretty good.
I've seen an interesting strategy using Guile with the Eagle Eye, because his three strength attack will hit all enemies. If you've got like a 4-guard fight and you throw Eagle Eye on Guile, he'll hit every enemy with his 3 strength attack.
Oh, that is interesting. I have to wonder how much damage it does, and if I guess it's probably still worth, right? I'm not sure though.
and it did look like Carbon did craft the Iron Dagger for Kid.
Yeah, we saw Carbon go up as Deeds is about to go up to this mansion. There's an item in this behind the stairwell called the Profiteer's Purse. And that's an item that when you equip it, gives you extra money at the end of a fight. But for now, we're not going to equip it. We're going to disassemble it for the material iron. We're going to use that material iron along with the feather, the fang, and the humors to craft a steel, swallow, and iron dagger for Serge and Kid respectively. So you can see Deeds do that. You gotta be careful. Sometimes you might accidentally disassemble the power glove because it's in an awkward spot. But I'm sure Deeds will be fine.
So on top of having to traverse the bluffs for the Guile path, I mean, this is also a massive time loss here. Like this conversation leading down to the docks.
Right.
Like as opposed to the Pierre route, you just leave and there's no other conversation.
So the only like upside besides like the time that he's losing for all this investment, I don't even like I'm not arguing that it's even worth it. Like I guess one of the only plus things is that maybe you'll have Guile in the manor versus having a useless Pierre.
That's true. That is true.
Once again, it is like objectively almost like definitely not worth it. That's why like the default speedrun route is to use Pierre. But it's always nice to see how these things. It's interesting to see how these new like other different routes can play out.
It looks like he's doing the Glen cinematic as well.
Yeah, you have to talk to Glenn, or at least see Riddell grieving for Dario and Glenn there. And then you could talk to Korcha afterward.
Oh,
And Korcha gives
oh.
you the boat. But for
Yeah,
Pierre,
Deeds-
all you have to do is talk to the kid outside, and he has Pierre's hero medal, and then you return that medal to Pierre, and he joins the party. So we're pretty, or Deeds is pretty good to go to the manor at this point, once you get Pierre in the party.
So comparing this to all your game battle talk, using Pierre is like doing the physical attacks. You don't get much and it might miss sometimes, but it's quick. Whereas doing Guile here is like using an element. It takes a lot of time to build up and a lot of animation, but you end up getting consistent damage and a better character out of Guile.
Yeah, that's a good analogy, I think. Also, the good thing here is Deeds being at essentially 14 strength, going into these guards fights. Like even with the sergeant, she's gonna fight in the pre-catch-up fight. I do believe at 14 here with the Steel Swallow, she could probably, as long as she hits, she can one-round the sergeants.
Oh, definitely. Especially with the power glove.
Right.
But yeah, You can take a risk for all these fights that Deeds is about to do. You can do a 3-3 on the guards and potentially get a crit. At this point in the game, your chance of getting a crit is kind of low, but it's still possible. And a crit would almost definitely knock out a guard, I think, without even having to hit him a second time.
That's why Carbon took the 100G from under the bed, because you have to pay it to Korcha to take you to the manor.
Yeah.
Just another reason why we don't like Korcha. We have to actually pay him money. See.
See, we've always talked like trash about Pierre, but Pierre is a nice guy. He's a good guy. He doesn't charge us to come with us to the manor.
Yeah, speak for yourself, man. I've never talked trash about Pierre. Pierre is the
Yeah,
best.
That's also fair. So this is the guard fight I had previously mentioned about Deeds, and we're going to see as long as Deeds doesn't miss, the strength is going to do wonders.
My goodness, this boat cinematic that Carbon's doing is taking forever. It's taking forever for the boat. They have to watch the boat go through each of the things before it even goes out the city.
Hey,
There it
it's
goes.
cinematic. It looks great. But yeah, we just saw Deeds do a 2-2-3 on the Sergeant and take them out. So yeah, the strength is pulling through. That was a really fast guard fight for Deeds.
So, like you were saying, a 3-3 with a crit could potentially kill.
Yeah,
Or
I
would
think,
you-
yeah. And even just
Yeah.
like if she crits on the first hit, I think that would also knock him out.
So
But maybe, I don't know.
two things. Deeds finally missed her first stat up for Serge. And second, our very own runner, during that long cutscene we were talking about, Carbon typed in chat and said, "This is super slow, smile."
It's
he's
all
gonna
for
have to-
science. It's okay, Carbon.
Yeah, as you can see, there's these jets that are coming out of the bluffs here. He's gonna have to avoid those while climbing up here.
Yeah,
While
rocks
also
are being
avoiding them.
tossed down. There's like little hidey holes where monsters are going in and out of, and sometimes if you get too close, they'll just pop out and you get an encounter. At least that's what I remember.
And don't forget more bats.
Oh yeah, and bats.
And as interesting as it is on that side over there, additionally, so you see on Deeds' screen, the catch-up fight that we are used to, we saw Pierre get like smacked and die in the first round. That's what you want to see, actually, because this is all pre-planned. You see Deeds defending until the revive. It's one of those fights where you can't do damage until the dialogue is done. If Pierre happens to dodge all of them, which does happen, you get Cure Plus instead of Revive as part of the story, which will make Serge do less damage, which I guess at this strength, Deeds isn't that worried about it. But yeah, well, actually looks like Carbon got to the top faster than I thought it would take.
And he sure wasn't bluffing.
Gotcha.
So
Because bluffs. They're scaling the bluffs anyway.
at this strength, I don't necessarily think I would have gone for the 3-3 dash and slash here. I think maybe going for the a 2-3 or a 2-2-3.
Yeah, at this strength, yeah, you could get away with doing a 2-3 or probably a 2-3 dash and slash.
Yeah, I have done, with 13 strength and a power glove, I have done a 2-3 dash and slash and gotten it, but I think it's a range. So going for the 3-3 would ensure the range, but she missed the first 3, so it's a little bit slow.
Right.
Oh, perfect target.
Yep.
Pierre has done his job, so he can lay on the ground for a bit.
And Serge is still at 10 strength on Carbon's screen. So yeah, you want to hit 13 if possible for just the Viper Manor section in general, because we have more guard fights to deal with, and at 13 strength, a 2-2-3 will knock out the silver armored guards, which makes it a lot faster. At this rate, looks like Kid might pass Serge in terms of strength, which is not a bad thing, but just have to adjust.
14 strength and a power glove for Deeds. For context for non-runners, 15 at Lynx or either leaving the manor like after Lynx is average. So we're a little bit above schedule there. Or ahead of schedule. So this is a dangerous fight over on Carbon's side that we were talking about, like at the top of this route going into the manor, and where I believe we had mentioned that I forget which move it is, but I guess they do like Ice Lance or something, and it can give you the flu.
Yeah, I'm kind of nervous as far as Carbon is concerned. Like, I have no idea how close he is to winning or losing this fight.
Ice Sword is what it is. Okay. Yeah, I'm a little shaky on my knowledge. I haven't done this round or seen this part of the game in a while.
Is Guile's 3 attack, is that the AoE?
Yep.
For the multi-target? Yeah. Okay.
I
think all the staff
It keeps
users-
missing.
Well, true.
Oh, Guile has some kind of blue status element. Oh no.
I think Dine was saying the ice sword is what gives the flu.
Did he buy medicines or anything? Or is he going to be doing the entire manor flued up?
This will be entertaining. I believe he did, but I'm not 100%.
Yeah, so you see on Deed's screen, she's feeding the Dragonites, and that will give us access, a key to give us access to the manor. Eventually Carbon will do this too. But Deed's is going to just go ahead. I don't know if she'll do guard skip, which we could talk about, because Carbon will probably do it. But there is a chance. So there are guards at the door to the manor, and with a good setup and good mashing, you can get into the door, into the manor, before getting a fight. So it helps you save at least 45-50 seconds of time over having to fight the guards.
Carbon did finish that fight. I do kind of think that okay, wait, they're all attacking Guile. I do maybe think if it is a flu, you maybe want Guile to die if he doesn't have medicine.
Yeah, so Deeds did go for guard skip, did not get it though. So I don't know if she'll take this fight or try again. It's a 3-guard fight, so it's not a bad fight to take. So yeah, she's going for it. Wand.
Trace 3 in chat asks, why did Carbon go Guile? Just more comfort with the route? Definitely not a comfort thing. Like everybody, like it's just like the default will mainly go Pierre. Like this is like actually the first time I've ever seen anybody not do it. It's mainly for science / like he's already secured a spot in the finals, so I imagine it has something to do with it.
Right, Carbon got through that tense fight. And still at 10 strength. Deed's finishing up her guard fight, so she's got quite a lead on Carbon right now.
Mrs. ended up hurting the that particular fight more than with the salt ketchup pepper fight. So I think with you missing a lot, it just made it worse for that fight. Whereas in the salt pepper, you miss, people miss.
We see Deeds on we see on Deeds' screen. Deeds went into the statue and then immediately hit 0-0. So even if we somehow knew like what the statue code was, which it is random, the game will not allow you to progress. You will fall into this trap regardless because it's part of the story. But we see Carbon going and doing the dragon section that we saw Deeds do a little bit earlier. But on Deeds' screen, we're going to see a guard fight, one more guard fight, and then comes the statue where we're going to find out the statue code. And it can be 1 through 9 on both the left and the right. And it's random, so if chat wants to try to guess and see what each of their codes is going to be, that will be coming up in about, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah, I'm curious if Carbon's going to go pick up the turn yellow. I don't think he will, but turn yellow is something Deeds picked up right after the catch-up fight, and that's going to be used in the next boss fight after this guard fight that Deeds is currently on.
She picked up the turn yellow because she wanted mustard instead of ketchup.
Ah, nice. Not bad, not bad.
Yeah, he's been knocking him out of the park tonight.
Also, I do want to mention, Carbon 100% showed me that he knew what he was doing. He had the medicine, so he wasn't even worried about the flu.
Yeah, I saw the status for a moment. I was like, does he have medicine? He did.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried. Oh, he's going to pick up the turn yellow.
Yeah, he is picking up turn yellow. All right, good. Yeah, Carbon's strength, he's going to have a bit of a rough time against both, well, all the fights from here on. Unless he gets like 2+2s in a row on Serge. Is he doing a... Okay, uh-oh. I think he was going for a guard skip from the other side. I don't know, but...
So, Monar in chat says, did any runner ever get something like 0011? So you can't get zeros, but there have been runners who have gotten 1-1 before. I've had 1-1 once before, and it wasn't a D-Rust.
Yeah, I've gotten 1-1 as well, once as well, and 9-9 I got twice, and both are equally as rare to get. You hope to get the 1-1. It's a bunch of time save.
So, moment of truth, Deeds is going to get 5-1.
5-1, that's pretty good.
Yep.
She also
Way
picked
below
up,
average.
she also picked up a revive in this room. It's the only revive that's picked up through the entire run, even through any percent.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
Yeah, so for the vault that Deeds is standing before, there is no password. It's a trick question. So you just wait for the guards to say, alright, silence is the answer, and then go in. Deeds will probably pick up the bronze armor, which will equip on Serge, and runners have the option of picking up the sword in order to sell. Generally, if you get guard skip, it's a good idea to pick it up, but you don't have to. It saves about 3 seconds of time to not pick it up.
Did anybody happen to see, I mean, it doesn't really change much because it's just all RNG, but did Carbon get 4 guards, or?
I did not see.
I know
think
he
it
had
was
the
3.
4-guard fight initially. I don't know if he chose to stay and fight, though.
I didn't know.
So just, yeah, so in chat, Amali says yes. I assume that's to the 4 guards. So Carbon is kind of getting a little bit unlucky in terms of like his strength. I believe is still at 10, which is he's had 1 strength up the entirety of the game so far, and he's gotten 4 guards. It didn't get guard skip. It's just Carbon's gonna be playing a little bit of catch up through post manor, I'm sure. But this is by no means over. There's still so much that can happen in the run.
Absolutely. Yeah, on Deed's screen, we're about to see the Neo and Bulb fight, these yellow onion men creatures. Believe it or not, Pierre has a job to do. He's not useless, not in the slightest. He's going to run up and hit, and then turn Serge yellow. And when Serge is turned yellow, he's going to boost his damage output against these Neo and Bulbs because they're green element, and yellow does extra damage to green, and green does extra damage to yellow.
So they're yellow in bulbs, but they're green element.
Yep.
I don't know how Guile's like attacks like work in terms of how they're handled in terms of like rolls and stuff like that. Like if whenever you hit like a 3 and it goes to all 3 of them, I don't know if each individual enemy gets rolled on. But if it is all individual, I just saw Guile do a double 3 and miss on like both enemies or 3 enemies for every one of the hits.
Oh, it looks like it is individual based. I wanted to say yes, because I think I remember that happening where you do a 3 and it misses 2 of the enemies instead of just 1. For all
Then that is a good representation of like Chrono Cross in general.
Yeah. Pretty decent fight for Deeds. Let's see if she gets the Eagle Eye drop. 15 strength, jeez.
Woo!
All right.
15 strength and the power glove, which we keep harping on, but it's just to show that like that power glove, like there's a power glove that we can also get like at the end of manor, and you'll hear us kind of having a different tune about it. But getting the power glove early to have in the manor is very, very good.
Yeah, the next guard fight will be after Marcy. We'll talk about Marcy soon, but it's like, okay, Carbon got a 4-9 code, so a little bit worse than Deeds. But the next guard fight with this item that Deeds is about to pick up, when you talk to this chest 20 times, you get the Dragoon Gauntlet, and that gives you a +3 to your attack power. And that will allow you to take out a silver armored guard with a 2-3 attack. But with Deeds' current strength, which is effectively 16, she could take out the guards with a 2-2 instead. It doesn't sound like much, but getting that extra AP off will potentially allow you to finish the fight much more quickly than normal.
Right.
So,
And the 2 attacks have less chance of missing than the 3 attacks do. So
Yeah, no. As Corp mentioned, the Dragoon Gauntlet is actually so important. One of the most important accessory items that we pick up in the entirety of the run. It's actually why post this first hour or so, like getting a power glove is like a little bit less thrilling. People aren't super happy about it, just because by time, especially in the full 80% run, by time like mid game happens or whatever, you already have three accessories or whatever for Serge. So the power glove just kind of sits there.
yeah, we picked up a Dragoon Honor. I forgot which fight it was, but oh yeah, it was inside the kitchen. That Dragoon Honor gives you a +1 to Strength, a +1 to Magic, and a +1 to your hit percentage. So it's a very useful item. It automatically outclasses the Power Glove by itself, but the fact that we have so many slots available to Surge right now means equipping the Power Glove is useful. And eventually that Power Glove will go on to Glenn later.
So
Rango Fed asks the questions, is being too strong for Marcy a concern? Yes and no. If you're not prepared for it, it can be a concern. Surge can get an early crit, for example, and Marcy will start using her early attacks, which can be troubling, but with enough experience, being too strong for the fight, you should be fine. And that also applies to Kid. If Kid is like 11 strength or more, she's going to do a lot of damage against Marcy because their elements oppose each other.
Yeah, to explain the specifics of why if you're wondering why being strong could even possibly be an issue. So Marcy is one of the first fights in the run where like you're really watching like HP flags, just because at her critical health stance, which is 25% health, if she gets a turn, if her like turn comes around and she's in that stance, she'll automatically do Ice Blast, and she does Ice Blast twice, which is dangerous because it not only is it like time, it's slow, but it can freeze you, it can just outright kill you because it's pretty strong. And then even worse past that is if she does happen to kill like Surge or something, and for some reason you need to revive, and you don't want to still give her another turn after that, because then she'll use Cure Plus, and it can snowball really, really badly. So as Corp was saying, the reason yes and no is that is the yes part of the reason. The other thing is with experience, if you're counting damage, you know about how much damage you're doing. You can kind of play around outside of that HP flag and then let her go, and then just full burst her down before she gets another turn.
Carbon finally got a strength on the bulbs.
Nice.
So we're about to see Deeds go into this fight. The other HP flag that is a little bit like, it's not necessarily like dangerous or whatever, but it does at least tell you that you've done, X amount of damage, is at her half health, at 249 health, she'll do Cat's Cradle. Damn.
Oh,
Yeah,
Deeds got a good start too.
That was 107 damage off the first opening turn, so yeah, she's doing a lot.
Yeah, and Kid does a surprising amount of damage as well, as long as she's like 10 or more strength. There is an alternative strategy to use Kid as the main attacker instead of Surge. It's actually pretty consistent, and it's useful to do when you have a really weak Surge.
So Deed's got a really good start, like a good AP start, so she is a little bit off schedule, I guess, or off the strat a little bit. And so I'm curious to see how she's going to play it, because she's going to have to be careful here. Because if she just attacks fully for all these attacks and they all hit, she's just trying to finish.
Yeah, if she did a 2-3 and both connected, then the fireball, and then the dash and slash, I think that would have been enough.
I think she should defend here. Yeah, I think she should defend here. I don't think that she's going to kill before Marcy goes. If she swings and it hits, it's going to put her into crit. Uh-oh.
Yep.
There it goes.
Yeah, this is where the Ice Blasts are going to happen.
Alright, well, Kid did her job. We don't want Surge to get hit.
Well, at least
She only did it once.
Alright, this should do it, though.
Yeah, that was pretty lucky and fortunate, all things considered, because she only Ice Blasted once. And so it was kind of quick. It wasn't that bad.
another strength.
Jeez.
And the Ice Blast element.
Yep. That's the other thing I was going to mention that we need to watch for is that runners really want that Ice Blast drop. You can get the rare Iron drop from Marcy, and as most things in CC, the Iron or the rare drop is not really what we want. That Ice Blast is going to be very important for Alina in the second half of this race.
Yeah, so as Deeds leaves the Marcy fight, she pulls ahead. Carbon is not yet going to enter the Marcy fight. We didn't talk about it, but we get a bit of a cutscene where the Prophet, this old man, just starts talking to us, and he explains very vaguely what's going on with the plot. But after his cutscene, then he can fight Marcy again. Carbon's going to have a bit of a more rough time, I think. I haven't been paying attention to his kid stats, but if Kid is good and he decides to use Kid as the alternate attacker, he should be okay.
Yeah, following also Deeds having this conversation with Harl, this is the first time she's popped up. We're gonna have one more guard fight where runners really hope that it's a 3-guard fight as well, because in both the guard fight before the front door and the guard fight before Lynx coming up, you can get different formations of guards.
Yeah, so this is one of the last random parts of the manor. So far, Deeds has had pretty good guard luck and decent fights. This guard formation, as Handy mentioned, we could either get 3 or 4, and we want to see 3 guards. But with her strength, even getting 4 guards, which she did not, it's good for her. Oh, okay. Nice
Zero.
start. Yeah, 2-2 will take out this guard if it hits.
We also didn't talk about it, but so one of the mechanics that the runners kind of take advantage of knowing is kind of how like turns are handled in this game. Chrono Cross isn't like random as in like when things happen. Like it's not like super arbitrary. Instead of an ATB system, there's what Chrono Cross calls the AP system, and it's just essentially how the game handles. That was a really quick guard fight. How the game handles whose turn it is, and enemies will have a certain AP, and that means that they will not roll underneath, that AP value on every one of their turns. They can roll a little bit above it, and on the opening turn, it's random. Anywhere between, if you're a regular enemy, it's 0, like you saw those guards do, up to that value, the base AP value, and a little bit above it. And if you're a boss, you can't roll 0, but you can roll a 1. It's why you see us on opening turns of a lot of fights, we just swing 3s, because we don't know what they could be at sitting at 1 AP.
Yeah, it's essentially more bang for your buck, at least as best as you can get out of it. You do run the risk of just missing both. If that's the case, you just adjust and work with it as best you can. Sion Deeds is going to soon do the Lynx fight. Hobbs, would you like to explain that fight when it goes, or we start up with it?
I was gonna say Carbon missed a 3, which he didn't like, and is getting ice blasted for it. Oh, frozen Surge, that's not good. And she could kill Kid here. This is the worst possible scenario of like what happens if she does ice blast, because
Carbon has no Pierre to save the day. He's got to rely on Guile.
Yeah, while Carbon tries to get out of this, like you had mentioned, Hobbs, if you want to maybe mention or talk about how the Lynx fight is going to play out here, or going to hopefully play out.
Sure. So Lynx also, when he gets into crit state, he will automatically use Nostrum, which heals 200 HP. So the idea is to essentially control him by using elements. You'll see we'll use a lot of, right out of the gate, we'll use a lot of 3s to just try to get as much damage in as possible at the beginning. And then around maybe, I think round 3 or 4, you'll see Kid use a Pilfer. The Pilfer ensures that Lynx's next ability is, what's it called?
Imbecile.
Imbecile, yes, Imbecile, sorry. Which is very non-threatening for this fight. And then around then is when he's getting close to being in crit. So to keep the damage rolling and for him to not heal up, switch to using Dash and Slash, which is a white element, and that forces him to use anti-white. So, yeah, by using these elements, we do control the fight pretty nicely, especially towards the end.
Okay, so Kid pilfered another power glove.
Yeah.
So, okay.
That
then.
one is actually not good. Whenever I talked about earlier that we would talk about like how we were talking how good the power glove was for Deeds, that one is actually one you don't want.
Yeah, I know
Right.
Deeds has mentioned that she has extraordinary luck getting power glove steals from Lynx. So I'm sure she's happy about that.
Yeah. So the magic ring is really what we want here. That helps mitigate low magic on Lena later. It's also the common steal, so you'll see that much more often.
I did also miss it. Do we know if Carbon got the Ice Blast drop?
He did, so he's
Okay,
good to
nice.
go. I also saw Deeds' Surge. I think he was at 13 magic, which is really high.
It is
You
very
kind of
high.
hope that Surge is like 10 or 11 magic on average.
Ooh, everybody claps in chat for Deeds. She said this is her first sub-hour Lynx 1.
Oh, very nice. Congrats, Deeds. She's on her way to getting a potential PB today.
Let's go.
Oh yeah, it looks like she's well, at Marcy she was 46 seconds ahead. And on Carbons, it seems that the Guile route is roughly around, what, 7 minutes slower?
Yeah, it's hard to say a little bit as well because he's had bad luck in other places outside of just doing the Guile route.
Well, that's
Having low
true.
strength and also 4 guards trying to get into the manor, and it's with failing the guard. Or actually, I don't think he failed it because I think he was trying to grab the guard to aggro on him and it never did. So he just kind of essentially did the guard fight. He was just slow.
And it's also hard to say how much slower all these other fights are with Guile.
It's true.
And I would say that 3 bird fight didn't look like it went that well.
Yeah, I was about to say Carbon's like 5 to 6 minutes. Yeah, with like average strength, say Surge at 13 or 14, and then say you didn't get hit by Ice Blast by Marcy, and yeah, decent hit luck, I'd say 4 or 5 minutes slower. But yeah, Carbon's just getting some bad luck. Which is fine. That's how this game is. You just gotta take what you get.
Carbon's at what strength right now? 12?
Yeah, 12.
That's pretty low fighting Lynx. But Carbon is a pretty experienced runner. He's going to be able to hopefully control Lynx. Still, there are some things that can be a little bit out of your control regardless of the fact, but he is going to do turn yellow, try to mitigate some of his lack of damage here.
Yeah,
That turn
so what
yellow.
turn yellow. Oh, go ahead, Andy.
Oh, go ahead.
I
No,
was
go
gonna say,
ahead.
what turn yellow does is it pushes the black element off the field, which increases Surge's attack power. And when you turn Kid yellow, she does extra damage to Lynx because you have a full yellow field's worth of damage. So it's a really good alternative strat when you have low strength on Surge. Oh boy.
I do
Speaking
want
of
to
bad
jump back
luck.
to Carbon's run here or his fight as it's happening, but over on Deeds' screen, the line is coming up. The line.
Get ready. Oh, he said the
Ooh,
thing.
they said it. All right, let's see what Carbon stole. Carbon, you get the magic ring. Let's go.
Man, these misses. Poor Carbon.
On Deeds, you will see shortly here a forced menu. You want to be very certain to remove the revive off of Pierre. Otherwise, I believe it's lost, right? Or no, I guess it's not lost. No.
Yeah,
It's
you
just
just have to
faster to do
take.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll eventually, if you don't remember to unequip it on Pierre, you'll have to put Pierre back in the party, like when you
Mhm.
get Glenn and spoilers when you get Glenn and Lena in the party.
So Kid, didn't die. Ooh, Carbon having to kind of play around a little bit of a, not even a different strat. He's just kind of still attacking Kid. He's just been having bad misses, so he's kind of like the fight's extending longer than what he wants, and so he's basically having to wing it. So what he's going to do here is kind of like what Hobbs mentioned earlier. He's using dash and slash to control Lynx, because as we mentioned earlier, Lynx right now, if we don't use elements on him, we'll do Nostrum, which heals for like 200. So using the dash and slash will overwrite that.
Wait, how much
Yeah,
damage does that do?
I missed it.
Oh, okay.
Let's say Bacon asked the question, what's the goal for this category? And yes, it is to beat Lynx at Fort Dragonia, which is roughly 2 hours, 20 minutes into the game. It's about a third of the way into any percent. So right now, after Lynx 1, after this long cutscene section, which is about 10 minutes long, we'll be coming up on the second half of the category.
And we can touch on it a little bit as it gets closer to it, but the differences in the routes are basically done. They're going to converge now to everybody doing essentially the same route, Carbon and Deeds. And the reason we talked about this run not being over by any means is in the next section we're going to, there's going to be a huge RNG variance that can happen between both the runners' runs.
I suppose there is the option of Carbon going back to get Kid.
We
steal
don't
the
know
gauntlet.
anymore.
To steal the gauntlet.
Yeah, so on Deeds' screen, we're getting more of the plot. So Kid was struck by the dagger that Lynx threw at Riddell, and it poisoned her. And the only antidote is from a Hydra. Yeah, a Hydra that is no longer alive. They've all been extinct in this world, at least this area of the world. So
Yeah,
what we choose to do is not save Kid, and that gives us access to Glenn in the future, and that will speed things along. However, if you don't choose to save Kid after the ghost ship section, you can come back here to Goldove, and Kid will be fine, and you can re-recruit her and Doc into the party if you wanted to. So I don't know if Carbon's going to do it, but he has that option.
I'll say it. I really hope he doesn't do it.
Yeah. I think it's like 6 minutes more.
Yeah. You get a lot of cutscenes with Kid and Mel as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this whole section though, as you can see in Deeds' side, this is like a 10-minute section of basically just plot and a lot of talking, and 10 more minutes of time that anybody really wanted to see Korcha. It's 10 minutes too much.
Oh, and what Nadla says in chat, yeah, there's an option to save Kid or leave Kid and continue is right now. And you do need to, although the first option is to leave Kid and not save her, you do need to be wary of that option to not go down and choose the second one, because that has happened. I've seen it happen in runs before.
Yeah, choosing to save Kid, in addition to just, being a good person, making you feel good from that point of view, you do get Razlie in your party eventually, or at least you have the option to. She's a great character and really strong, but unfortunately, you also get Korcha, and nobody wants that, so we're just gonna say no.
What's wrong with that, corporate?
What? What do you mean, Hobbs?
We do have an outlier here in the Korcha hate group.
Oh, I don't hate Korcha. He's a good character to just dislike, and I think he fulfills that role perfectly.
That is true. If that is his purpose, he does fill that perfectly. Yeah, so we see Deeds finally done with the first part of the dialogue in this section. Unfortunately, or fortunately, if you like the music here, we're gonna have a little bit more talking. We're gonna go to Korcha's house. We still need to use his boat, even though he's not happy with us.
Yeah, we are on an island, and we have no way off the island, so naturally we need a boat. So why not talk to the person we just angered and ask him for his boat? Sounds like a good plan.
So you'll also see that Deeds put Pashal in the party. She had the option of putting other characters in the party here, but this ultimately saves time when she gets back to Termina. When you get to Lisa's shop, there is extra dialogue if you put Lena in the party. Unfortunately, I think Pierre has extra dialogue there as well, but it's unavoidable, I believe.
Yeah, the Pierre dialogue is only like 2 or 3 seconds long, but when
Yeah,
Lena is in the party. It's like 20, 30?
It's long, yeah.
yeah, I do believe Pierre's is literally like, I think it's actually only 2 text boxes total. Or that's not true because I guess she talks to him and then he talks back, so like 4 text boxes.
Yeah, so although we were keeping track of stats, Deeds is still ahead and has a lot of strength on Serge, and Carbon's Serge is pretty kind of pathetic. His strength is not going to be a major factor after the next part of the game. On the ghost ship, Serge is still your main damage dealer, but after that, we're going to switch to Glenn and Lena to be doing most of our damage. This is where Carbon can come back from a time deficit if he gets a really strong Glenn and Deeds gets a really weak Glenn. But the benefit for Deeds is that she has 2 power gloves, so you can give that to Glenn to offset just in case he does have really bad strength. But they're going to go to him anyway, so even if he is strong, he's just going to be a monster instead.
Yeah, so we had mentioned it, I think, in the Fossil Valley fight earlier, but so as Corporate just mentioned, now we're going to be getting Glenn and Lena, and so as we like I mentioned in the Fossil Valley, like I was saying, like the characters that we don't have in our party, like Glenn and stuff like that right now, and Lena, have been rolling in the background. So we're gonna hope that they rolled well, unlike Carbon's Surge.
Part of the mechanics in the background for strength growth or magic growth is every character has their unique like statistic as far as the percent chance to gain a point in strength or magic. I believe Serge and Glenn are about like in the mid 70s to start with, and then every time they get strength, their percent chance to get another strength point goes down a little bit. Lena, I believe she starts in the mid 40% chance to get a magic up. So she's a lot less likely to get magic. And in this game, for this category especially, magic is very important. Even seemingly low values of magic, like 14 or 13, does quite a bit of damage compared to like 17 strength, 18 strength. So I think magic is a little bit stronger in terms of like the value that you get from it.
I agree with that. Yeah, every +1 to magic seems to be a much bigger leap. Deeds has finally come to the end of all the dialogue in Arnie, or not Arnie Village, Goldove. And now we're gonna head out to Termina, where we're gonna do our big shopping for this race. Our only really big shopping.
And get even more dialogue.
A little bit more dialogue, that's true.
Yep. Chrono Cross speedruns for this category in any percent. There's a pretty nice balance of like boss rush, navigating through dungeons, dodging enemies, and then downtime for just mashing through text. At no point does it really feel overwhelming that you're just, at least while you're running the game. Like this part, you're here for about 10 minutes, but it kind of doesn't feel like it. So it's a very accessible speedrun to anybody who's interested in learning about it.
Yep, and the very good thing about like if you learned this category, this race percent here, for as the first thing you learn, is that the things that you learn, like the core battle mechanics and stuff for the fights in this first 2 hours or so, 100% directly translates to the rest of the game. Very easily.
One thing we haven't really talked about is the movement in the game. I think I've heard a lot of people asking about this in the chats in the last couple days. But for the most part, we're using analog to be moving, especially for like enemy maneuvering. Anytime there's like straight paths, we do switch to the D-pad. It prevents swaying, and it really just fine tunes the time save on that. Through menus, we also use D-pad. At least I do.
Yeah, good point. There's also little things like setups. So on Carbon screen, we see this arrow formation with Serge in the center and then the 2 characters on the bottom left and bottom right. So throughout the game, you want to position your characters in such a way such that they don't slowly walk up to that formation. You want to minimize that as much as possible. So what Carbon did was he ran towards Corcho, was continuing to run into him, and that allowed the back characters to catch up a little bit. And then he talked to Corcho, and then they got into their arrow formation quickly. So little tiny time saves like that, which save like a half a second or a second time, add up over the course of, at least for any percent, over the course of 7 hours time.
I do want to mention it's not like that big of a deal, but I know for sure Deeds is not running out of tablets. I don't know if y'all happen to catch how many tablets she bought, but she committed to 71 tablets.
Oh, okay.
Perfect.
She's ready.
Yeah, I guess that means she's 100% skipping Diminish, which means she's committing to not doing the any percent. There, you can technically, like if some runners have like a really good Lynx 2 time and they have good strength and everything like that, they will continue on to do any percent. But if you want to do that, you have to buy a Diminish, and I believe you need to pick up the Photon Beam on the Ghost Ship. Those are like the two things that you really need to continue runs. However, what makes money tight in the this part of the game, which is really the only part of the game that money's ever tight, even in any percent, it's because we have to pick up a Diminish, and it costs, I believe, what, 1,600 or something around there. I don't know the exact amount.
Yeah, it's 1670, I think.
Yeah, which is pretty expensive. So with her buying 71 tablets, I imagine that means she's not going to pick up Diminish, which means she's committing to stopping at Lynx 2.
Yeah, on Deeds' screen, she was disassembling some of the goodies we got from Viper Manor, or she got from Viper Manor, in order to forge a steel sword for Glenn and an iron ladle for Lena. But unfortunately, the menus get kind of confusing when you get extra drops that you're not used to. So since she got 2 power gloves, it put the ivory helmet in the upper spot, and Deeds didn't, she missed like the pendant or something, or the necklace. It was in an odd spot, so she had to go back and find it to disassemble it. So, just a minor thing to mention, but...
We are coming up to the point where we're going to get to see the reveal of Glenn's strength and Lena's magic for Deeds. And I think you mentioned this earlier, really, if one of them was going to be a little bit lower and one of them's going to be a little bit higher for Deeds, you really want Glenn to be the lower one and Lena to be the higher one, because she does have 2 power gloves and 0 magic rings.
Yeah, so the guessing game for Glenn's strength has been going on in chat, but for those who don't know, we still have about like 2 minutes or a minute and a half or whatever, but Glenn could be anywhere from 10 strength to 20. I've never seen 10 strength before. I have gotten 20 once, and that's incredibly rare to get. But on average, Glenn will be 15 or 16. If he's like 13 or less, it's not great, but it could potentially turn around, because Glenn, that would mean that Glenn has not been getting strength ups, and if that's the case, there's a good chance that he's going to get a +2 very soon. So he could be starting out pretty weak, and then he gets some +2s, and then he's back to being very usable.
I do believe Hobbs is back with us now. He happened to have a little bit of a power loss issue.
Yeah. Welcome back, Hobbs.
Thunderstorm.
Thank you. Apologies.
Hobbs, did you make a guess on what you thought Deeds' Glenn and Lena magic was going to be?
I guessed a little high. I think I said like 19 and 15.
Oh. 19 would be...
I was trying to show some love.
19 with double power glove.
Yeah. Do we know what they are?
All right. 16 strength Glenn for Deeds, which is pretty good. With 2 power gloves, he'll be at a minimum of 18, effectively 18.
While that's happening, Nyrez in chat asks, so stats are randomized until the very last games. So there are statistical values that the game kind of like weighs of whether or not you're going to get a strength up or not, a stat up on any given star fight. It is random, but it's like weighted random. It's not like completely random. The game basically has like an ideal value at like every star value that it thinks you should be at. Like Serge should be at this strength, at this star value. Lena should be at this magic at this star value, and it weighs against that. If you're close to it, your chances of getting +1, +2 are not that much affected or whatever. But if you're way behind, your chances of getting a +1 or +2 go up. If you're way ahead, they decrease. So it kind of like there's like a point that it points at, and it weighs against that.
Yeah, the game doesn't like you to get too far ahead on strength and too far behind. It tries to keep you in the average range if you're not already there. Which is why it's pretty good for the speed run, because on average, you don't have to worry about stat gains that much. But, you know, every now and then you get some really bad luck, and you end up losing a whole bunch of time due to stats. But that's only for very competitive play for both categories. 14 Magic Lena for Deeds, and decent HP as well. She's got a very good team right now.
So we also did mention it, but because Lena doesn't have the magic ring, like even though she's at 14 now, she'll be effective 13 whenever, basically, that's what Deeds will have to take into consideration, because the normalcy for what the stats or the strats say for the fights going up ahead here are going to assume that you have the magic ring on. Just a small bit of tidbit information.
Yeah, it looks like Carbon, I missed it, but it looks like he was short on money. I
Uh-oh.
wasn't sure if he got the pendant drop that normally Ketchup gives you. Because normally you disassemble that for the extra thing.
So
ladle
what
or
did he not
whatever.
get? Did he not get the sword, or did he not get the ladle, or neither?
I missed it. But he regretted that he did not pick up the bronze sword in the manner, so I'm guessing he wasn't able to forge the steel sword. Or well,
Ooh, that's if so, that's really big. Just because I've actually had to do a Mount Pyre before with the bronze sword, and let me just tell you, Glenn feels like he's hitting with a Nerf sword, and it isn't like he could really switch to Surge strats either. I mean, I guess he's going to, because the Surge hasn't been getting strengths really either.
right. Well, we'll see how strong his Glen is. If he has a super Glen, like 18 or more strength, he should be okay. More likely he'll be okay. But
Yeah, and on Deeds' screen, we see Deeds head into the fog to get towards Mount Pyre to head towards, ultimately, the fort. But we're a little bit blocked by this ship that she's about to get on. And as she gets on it, as we see what Carbon's stats are, but as she gets on it, we're going to get surrounded by pirates.
One thing that's kind of interesting is the background there behind the ship. See how it kind of looks.
I can't unsee
Kinda,
it.
yeah, how rough it looks against the other water in the game. It's definitely like just like a cheap,
Like
like
a
what
JPEG
mid-ground.
image.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to cover up the ghost ship that's over there.
on Carbon's screen, he was confusing me with all the ins and outs, but he eventually got Glenn and Matcha in the party. Glenn had 17, which is pretty good.
17 is, yeah,
He is going back to the smithy, though.
interesting. He has an idea?
Yeah, his party order was a bit odd with Guile and so forth. So I
The
can see the
suspense. I'm
confusion.
actually, I never know what Carbon's doing right now in this with this route.
Now, Deeds is
Oh,
on this ship, and there's a lot of RNG on it. So
that is true. That is true. Coming up on Deeds' screen, what actually happened right now, we're going to see Deeds have to go through a gauntlet of 3 fights. This first fight you can actually run away from. There's going to be a couple more of these on this ship that you can actually do that look forced, but you don't have to do it. And then we're going to see her do the Poly fight and then ultimately the Fargo fight. For this Poly fight coming up, Poly can be annoying because of Flap. Ideally, we talked about AP earlier. Ideally, for a good fight here, what you really want is you want to see Deeds at least get the Ice Blast off to put another blue on the field before the first Flap happens by Poly. If Poly rolls really low and flaps you early, not only does it make the flap do more damage because there's not a blue on the field, but it'll make the Ice Blast afterwards do less damage because there's a red on the field. It's a double-edged sword.
Barbo, what are you doing? Okay, 13
There we
Magic
go.
Lena.
What was
Alright.
his Glen
Oh.
again?
Early flap. It's not on Lena, so that's good.
Oh, 17 Glen. Okay.
We'll see what Deeds does, but there's an option after this Ice Blast to have Lena hit 2 more once she gets the chance and use Aqua Ball. I think it's a good idea when you get an early flap, but because her characters are so strong, Serge is pretty strong right now, I don't think she needs to do it, but it's optional. If she does do the Aqua Ball, it does about 100 free damage to Polly, so it's pretty nice, but it takes about 10 seconds for the Aqua Ball to be cast.
See,
So-
Deeds' characters are so strong, they're unflappable.
There you go.
So even with the red on the field, her Ice Blast still did 200 damage. So that's
17, 15, Jeez. Oh my gosh. Deeds is set. Yeah, one of the goals is to have Lena reach 15 magic by Fort Dragonia. And we're not even close to that. Since Deeds does not have a magic ring, we want Lena to reach 16 strength, because the magic ring is a +1 to magic. But looks like she'll be able to reach that. Probably. Most likely. For the Fargo fight, we're gonna do a setup. We're gonna strengthen Serge and turn Serge red, and then just go to town on Fargo. This fight is far less random compared to the Poly fight, and far less dangerous as well. And one of the reasons is because both Serge and Glenn have a dual tech, the X Strike or Cross Strike, however you want to call it. And that's a red element attack, and Fargo is blue, so the red element will do a lot more damage against him.
Yeah, it's very kind of Fargo to help you fill up the field in your favor.
Should be able to do X Strike right now. Just going for the extra damage though. Yeah, this should do like over 350. Yeah, 361.
Yep. So Carbon's starting the gauntlet as Deeds is finishing it.
Oh, +2 for
Glenn
Glenn.
got a
19.
+2.
Jeez.
Oh wow. That's
Wow,
crazy.
yeah. Deeds is going to be set. She might get a really, really nice PB.
Yeah. Well, so I guess that is a good time to bring up. So stats and everything are looking great, and everything is looking great. I don't want to jinx her, but she does have a little bit of RNG that she's gonna have to deal with here in the second part of the Ghost Ship, where even though we just won the Gauntlet versus Polly and Fargo, Fargo tranquilizes us, knocks us out. And we're gonna wake up below the ship, and what we're gonna see is there's gonna be a section of us having to check like 3 or 4 different people for a key, and it's RNG as to who has the key. The problem is not only do we have the travel time of having to check everybody, so like if the first guy doesn't have the key, we have to go to the second guy. Every one of the guys is blocked by an extra encounter, and so we have to fight extra encounters to check, everybody. So if you get third keyed, then you lose probably about a minute and a half to like 2 minutes if it's really bad, just based off like RNG on the key.
Yeah, I believe the key RNG is based on the frame you talk to the pirate who has the key when he mentions the last dialogue box. Something like that. So if you knew what frame to hit on, to hit accept on, you could manipulate it, I guess, but...
Natalie in chat was also asking, and there is a fourth key, and yes, there is a fourth key, but it is only if you mess up. If you like the guy that we talked to first that tells us, hey, one of the guys downstairs probably has the key. If that text box doesn't get cleared or you get interrupted during that text box, it automatically sets to the fourth guy. You have to go talk to all the guys that you normally have to talk to, and then come back up there and talk to him.
Yeah, so Hobbs, why don't you explain the ghost dance?
Okay. So basically, there's this ghost here in this room. You need to talk to the guard at the door once, and then you have to mash through the texts while dancing around the ghost, without hitting him. Once he's cleared the text boxes again, you got to talk to him one more time while continuing the dance, and successfully leave him. Yep, and she looks like she did it. You have to successfully leave the ghost like far enough away, so that way he doesn't aggro you to talk to the guy at the end. It definitely takes some time to learn, but it's totally worth it.
Yeah, so every encounter in this game that you don't want to fight, if you hit the enemy and get the encounter, it costs about 20 seconds to run away, and that's assuming that they don't take a first action. However, in that room, the key room, or the guy who's supposed to have the key, it's often that the ghost will put you in a position where you're like pinned up against a wall or in a corner. And if that happens, if you run away, you'll get an encounter immediately after that. So what essentially that just forces you to have to fight the ghost. So getting that ghost dance off, and it helps save quite a bit of time. Good job for Deeds though for doing that. Let's see.
In terms of the race, obviously you probably want like a little bit of an equalizer here for the key RNG of Carbon and Deeds, but I want Deeds to, yeah, she's on PB pace, so hopefully she doesn't get third keyed. I'd like her to at least get second key here.
I will say though, for new runners to the game, there is no shame in just fighting the ghost instead of perfecting the dance. Like Corporate was saying, like it's really not that bad in time loss.
Yeah, usually whenever it becomes like a big loss is whenever you spend like 15 seconds trying to dodge it, and then you also get into the encounter.
Yeah, very true.
So if you're new, you can just commit to being like, okay, I haven't learned this yet, so I'm just gonna fight it, and it mitigates some of the time loss.
Yeah, one aspect we didn't talk about with the ghost ship is that navigating the ghost ship itself has some really slippery doors, and doors in this game are very difficult to open. It sounds like a joke, but it's not. And on the ghost ship, it's where the hitboxes for the doors are incredibly small and precise. So while you're navigating the ghost ship, you have the ghosts are chasing you, and you want to be able to go into the door as quickly as possible. So while people or runners are able to get a successful ghost dance, sometimes they don't make it to the door without the ghost catching them. Oh, Deed's got a third key. Ah, it's a shame.
This could be an equalizer now. If Carbon can get first key and he successfully does ghost dance, I still think he'll be behind just because of the nature of like the little bit of the difference between them right now. However, he'll close like 2 minutes of that time loss. Theoretically.
The upside about getting third key, well, there's two of them. One, in any percent, you're likely not to be short on money. But for this category, money's not much of an issue. The other chance is that they can get a mini star here, and it's a very odd mini star. We call it the lag star. And essentially, if a character is going to get a +2 on the big star fight, the boss at the end of this level, then they'll get a +1 to strength randomly. And it could be Lena, Serge, or Glenn, or all of them. But you hope it's on Glenn or Serge on any percent, Glenn in this category. So, but it's really rare and a bit odd, so you don't expect it.
Yeah, we see Carbon getting ready to do the ghost dance, so we're gonna hope for a successful one. Oh, we got caught on the door a little bit, it scared me. Yeah, he should be in the clear now. Very clean.
And you see Carbon, he's waiting for that pirate to finish talking. If you leave immediately while he's talking to you, then you will get the 4th key location, which means you have to go through all the pirate locations and then go back to that same guy who you're just talking to, and then he'll have the key. So it's very important to wait by that door frame for him to finish talking.
Carbon got 4 ghosts. It's a rare formation, and you just run from it because of how fast it or how long it takes.
Yeah, if you had amazing stats, we're talking like 19 strength on Serge and Glenn, you could probably take that 4 ghost encounter. It's still slow, but yeah. Always no shame in running away from that.
Deeds escaping. Got past the really hard enemies or the harder ones to dodge.
Yeah, so that was a pretty decent ghost ship for Deed. She got third key and an extra encounter, but all in all, pretty good.
Muscle reflexes to pick up that photon beam, so she's already committed to not doing the any percent. It's there.
Yeah, it's one of the few, I think it's the only chest, at least in the speed run, that you can open the chest and move from it. So you're not, most chests require you to stay put while you get the item, but not that one, for whatever reason. So Carbon got second key, so he's able to make up a little bit of time on Deeds. Deeds is going to enter the final fight while Carbon is making his way up there.
Deeds ran into that head when she was trying to do the maneuvers earlier, the one in the hallway.
Carbon actually looks like he gained some time. I didn't see if he got second or first. I was watching Deeds' screen, but he is on his way out already.
Yeah, he got second key. Or at least he... I don't know if he checked the first key location, but I know he got the key at the second pirate location.
Oh, he took a... Oh,
Hey, that was a really good dodge. He realized he could make it, and he went for it. So actually on Deeds' screen, a good time to mention this is we're going to see this fight start off with kind of like a default turn that's going to be mimicked going forward for most of the boss fights and most of the fights going in general, where we're going to start off with basically strengthening and like buffing like one character specifically. And we're going to see Eagle Eye -3 be used and Strengthen minus, is it also 3? I forget what the minus is on it. But something that's cool for the speedrun here is that buff elements and debuff elements actually don't get hit at all by being on the first level. So even though they have a -3, they do the exact same thing they would anywhere else. So it actually just benefits us because we can just put them on level 1 and buff
That
one
crit.
character.
Jeez. So with that crit, Deeds is going to be able to finish this fight more quickly than normal? Probably save about 10-15 seconds off of a normal fight with regular stats. But we're going to see Deeds use Cure Plus on Deadhead, the boss. And it will not heal him, it'll do about 100 or so damage depending on Lena's magic. 118 is really good damage.
Yeah, Deadhead is already in crit stance.
Yeah, so she could just defend and use dash and slash, and it'll be over. But the safe strat would be to have Lena use Cure Plus again.
Yeah, Naira's in chat says, while super useful, I always put the buff higher to get better buffs. Silly me. No, I think that's like a pretty common, like you would think that's how it should work. But just to kind of touch on this as well, it's not like all the elements in the game can be abused that way. If it's a damaging element like a fireball or a magma bomb or like something that's like a cure, like a cure plus that we have, those actually do get increases and decreases depending on the element level they're on. It's just things like Eagle Eye, Strengthen, Genius. I can't think.
Red,
magnify, diminish.
Yeah, all those they do not get affected by it.
and Vigora later on, but that's for
Yeah,
any
and
percent.
Vigora.
So Deeds got an amazing level up. Her Lena is perfectly ready to go. She's at 16 magic. Glenn's at 20 plus the power gloves he's going to get soon. And then Serge is at 19, I think. But Serge is done. We don't really need to be concerned about him anymore for the run.
And this is where all the money that we've been kind of worrying about, whether or not we pick up the bronze sword and stuff like that, especially for any percent, usually comes into play. We want to make sure we have 3,340 if you want to buy both, which Deeds does. So just, I guess, to keep the option alive, I'm assuming. But and plus she just had the money, so why not?
Yeah, so we see on Carbon screen the difference in stats. He had to endure an extra attack, an extra breath attack, and do an extra Cure Plus from Lena. So his Deadhead fight was much slower than Deeds'.
Interesting. Deed's opting to do the menu here in Marbule, which is fine. All things like it's fine. It'll work out. The only reason usually you wait to usually do it before you go into the next fight is because we're about to have to walk through some lava in Mount Pyre, and so that means she's gonna have to open the menu again to heal before the fight, anyways. So you usually do it all at the same time. But maybe she felt like she just wanted to get it out of the way so that she didn't have to worry about the menu.
Yeah, just like most RPGs, you want to avoid opening the menu as often as possible. In this game, I think it takes like 5 seconds to open and close a menu, maybe more than that. So it's not a bad thing. If Deed is comfortable with menuing here, it's fine, but
Right.
just something to be aware of.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good point, especially if like there are a lot of people watching here and they're wondering like, are just they're curious about doing everything right. Like, especially like most of the time, there is some like objective best things to do, but there are some things that like if you're just comfortable doing it one way or another, it's more worth to do it, you know, a little bit suboptimally with being comfortable with it than to try to force it to do the most optimal thing.
Yeah, so Carbon has pulled ahead of Deeds.
Did he skip
Carbon
the
is
menu?
much more experienced at menuing, so his menus are very quick. Plus, he hasn't done the menu, as Handy mentioned, but
Well, did he even go buy? I wasn't watching. Did he buy?
Yeah, he bought
okay,
everything.
okay.
He's just
I was concerned.
but yeah, they're neck and neck at this point. But Deeds has a considerable advantage because of stats. His Carbon's Glen is really good, so doesn't have to worry so much about that. But
I mean, I think because of how close it is now and like pulling that time ahead, and having a good set at Glen, it is definitely going to pay off the fact that he went and got the steel sword. He went and went and used that time to go get the steel sword.
yep. Welcome back, Hobbs.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, everybody, get your W's in chat. What we're seeing
Have
now
the
is
W ready.
the final salt and pepper tutorial. We learned about trap elements and, well, how they don't work, because that's how salt and pepper teach us. Yeah, this fight's interesting because the drops are so important for the run. The common drops are very good defensive equipment, which help us survive the next few fights. The rare drops are very good offensive equipment that help us speed up the fights if we're lacking in stats. I think at this point neither runner needs the rare drops to go faster. They're all really pretty fast. So they're probably looking for the better defensive equipment.
So what did Deeds Glen get to strength-wise?
I believe
I actually missed
20.
it.
So
It's at 20 with an extra power glove.
At 20, can she go right into the crit strat, or is it still not enough?
I actually think you maybe can if you like. You probably can. You might have to adjust it a little bit, but it's probably faster to do so.
I think so as well. Yeah.
This
Yeah,
race
Pepor
is actually
cannot believe Salt's stupidity, so he is utterly baffled. And he decides to take out his baffled rage on Salt, which actually helps us out for this fight. Got a crit on Carbon's screen. It's lucky.
yeah. As O'Malley says in chat, this is actually super close now. It's gonna be an interesting race through the rest of the fort.
Oh, got the extra attack. Yeah, sometimes Pepper will keep on peppering Salt with attacks, but it's kind of rare. He usually hits him the 3 times at the beginning, and that's about it.
Oh, did he actually crit on Salt?
On Carbon's screen he did.
Oh, okay.
I saw Salt crit on Serge on Deed's screen, so there's crits for days for everybody.
It's a critical assault.
There you go.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, so Andy W mentions in chat, he says 99% miss. We haven't really mentioned it, but the percents in this game to hit or miss are actually accurate. So even though we used Eagle Eye, like Eagle Eye does not guarantee that you hit. It is like an actual 99%. You have the 1% chance to miss.
Alright, so Deeds did not get any sort of stat gains besides HP, and got the common drops, but Yeah, thanks to that 99% miss, Carbon's fight was a little bit longer. Whereas Deeds' fight was spot on. He also got the common drops as well. Okay. So I know Deeds' Lena is much stronger at this point than Carbon. She's at 16, but without the magic ring, she's effectively at 15 magic. Carbon's Lena is at 14. So for Carbon, Lena just needs to get one more magic point and she'll be set for Fort Dragonia, for most of Fort Dragonia.
I'm gonna say it, even though somehow it keeps cursing people. But for this next fight, it can be a little bit dangerous. This main thing that you don't want to see is you don't want to see Serge walk up, do a 1, and then get 1 AP rolled by Fire Dragon. That's the really bad start. There's a not good start and the good start, which is that you get the Eagle Eye off and you 3-3 with Glenn. That's what you want to see. Then there's the okay start, which is just you get the Eagle Eye off and then you get interrupted. And then there's just the really bad start where you get the 1 and nothing.
I think I've gotten the bad start every single race so far in the tournament.
I'll take full credit if it happens.
Yeah. Oh, I missed. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Okay.
And I think neither of them will have to go for the genius strat. So they can just go...
Okay, Carbon, I'm sorry.
Go. Alright, so Deeds got the good start. Carbon, not so much.
Carbon is an experienced runner, so he actually does have a strat that I've actually even looked into adapting for getting 1 rolled. So it isn't like he's in uncharted territories. He's looked into this. It can still be very dangerous, though.
Yeah, there are a few ways to deal with this fight, but the point is that the Fire Dragon is very strong and very fast, so he's very likely to get off his attacks before you get a chance to do damage if you have a bunch of misses and so forth. But this Fiery Breath attack, if you don't set up for... Ooh, well, there goes Lena.
Ooh.
Yeah, that can happen. And if you don't revive and play effectively from here on out, he could keep using the Fiery Breath attack, and you can lose your party members 1 by 1. But Deeds isn't in such a bad position yet. Glenn, I believe, has the revive. No, Serge is supposed to have the revive.
So
see if she chooses to...
We touched on it a little bit earlier, but like one of the things that makes, besides just how much damage he does, the Fire Dragon, one of the things that makes him really dangerous is he's actually one of the enemies in the game that we fight that has the lowest AP value that any boss really has. No one has lower than a 6, and Fire Dragon is one of the enemies that has a 6 AP. And I don't know if I really mentioned it, but like every attack we do, like if you do a 2, if you do a 3, those are AP. So we only can use 6 before he gets to go every turn, at the very least.
Yeah, so on Deeds' screen, the Glenn, he got a crit, and he's so close to getting knocked out. There you go. All right. So yeah, Deeds was able to finish the fight faster than Carbon at this point. And you could get a rare magic ring drop here. Sometimes that really helps you out if Lena's a bit lacking, but did not get it.
Carbon has made a very good recovery in this fight. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, has a very good recovery.
Looks like, yeah, he did go for like a late Magnify into Ice Blast.
Ooh, a +2 for Glenn, 23 for Carbon. So that'll help on this next fight, and then afterward, the last 2 fights of this category, which is the General Viper and Lynx fight. After this 3 Devas fight that both runners about to fight, switch over to Lena being our main attacker. This is where magic comes into play. For now, in this fight, we're going to buff Glenn with Eagle Eye and Strengthen, and then Serge and Glenn are going to use X-Strike, their dual tech, to take out Marcy. Marcy is the fastest character between all 3 of the Devas, and if she gets, after her second hit, she'll use String Phone, which is a blue element attack that hits everybody. It's pretty slow, and it's kind of dangerous. So Marcy's the priority to take out. Luckily, there's at least 2 reds on the field, so this X-Strike is going to be buffed. But then after that, Glenn is going to focus on Zoa. He's going to do his melee attacks, and then Lena will assist with Bush Basher. And then after that, they'll focus on Karsh. I believe both runners will use the turn blue Ice Blast strat at the end. That way, we're going to set up a green field to take out Zoa. And then after that, since Karsh is already green element, we're going to want to do a different element type of damage onto him. So that's where the turn blue and Ice Blast come into play.
Yeah, it looks like Deeds got a good start from Zoa. One of the things that you try to look for if whether or not the fight's going well or not is if you get off, you kill Zoa before he does Geronimo, and that usually just requires that you don't get low rolled on Zoa, which did happen for Deeds, so that's good.
Oh, nice crit. Unnecessary. Oh, that was a lot of damage against Zoa.
Yeah, the Geronimo attack from Zoa that Handy was just talking about. Did you mentioned the yellow on the field?
I didn't mention it, but yeah, that is why.
Yeah. Right. So it might seem kind of harmless at first because it really doesn't do too much damage, but it really does lower Glenn's attack for the remainder of the fight. For not only the subsequent attacks to Zoa, but also the pretty much the remaining attacks to Karsh too, right?
Yeah, I think it stays on the field.
Alright, Deeds had a perfect fight, pretty much.
Yeah, and Carbon's not that far behind. Like, they're like neck and neck right now.
Yeah, Carbon is getting great mileage out of his strong Glen. So yeah, stat-wise, they're pretty even, but right now, Deeds has a bit of an edge on Lena's magic. Yep. Yeah, so on Carbon's side, Lena's still at 14. The Carbon has one more opportunity to get to 15 magic off of this next fight before it's going to start to matter, before it's going to start costing him some time. Whereas Deeds has no worries going forward.
I didn't see. What is Deeds' magic, sorry?
It's at least 16. I don't know if she got to 17, but she doesn't have a magic ring, so she's effectively at 15.
Okay, so yeah, she's effective at 15, so she should be fine on Gloop. And honestly, like, ideally you want to get a couple more here, but even if she didn't, it wouldn't be like super deadly. So she's pretty good.
Yeah, this is a close race. Deeds has just a slight lead going into Fort Dragonia. There's still a bit of RNG. There's both runners are going to have to dodge a few enemies that are kind of tricky to get around, as well as just dealing with the fight RNG. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yep, they're both gonna have to fight this Dragoon that is kind of blocking the entrance to the fort. It's actually going to be considered a star fight, which is what Corp mentioned whenever he said that there's one more chance for Carbon to get to 15, so he can do the faster fight on the giant gloop afterwards.
Carbon is just getting trolled by misses. Yeah, so in this fight, you have Glenn do like a 2-2 and Magnify, and the goal, if you're lucky, is to get the Magnify off before the Dragoon Rider goes, because then you have a chance of skipping Acacia Breath, which we just saw on Carbon's screen. Unfortunately, he went a little early on both Deeds and Carbon, but Carbon had a bunch of misses, so Deeds has the potential to knock him out before... Oh, well, never mind. Had the potential to knock him out before Acacia Breath.
That's
Acacia Breath isn't that dangerous, but what it will do is usually burn one of your party members, and you have no way of removing that burn, and that could be a factor in the Taurusoid fight. But Deeds finished well enough, so it was a good fight.
Yeah, if you're able to get the 4 with Glenn right off the bat, and he doesn't go, I do typically like to go straight for Lena instead of the Magnify, just like throwing like a 2-3. That really helps solidify the skipping Acacia.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't think about that, but
Carbon
that
just
help.
got magma bursted.
Yeah, this fight gets really dangerous. As it drags on, the Dragoon Rider will start to use Ice Lance and Lunge. I was thinking of a different fight. Lunge is like a red element attack that does over 200 damage and usually one-shots one of your party members.
Especially with the field magnified.
Yep. So luckily they both finished decent enough times.
At the end of that fight, we actually saw something very important get dropped, which is the Frog Prince summon element. Which is why we actually bring Lena in the party with us, because we need a blue innate to use it, and she's a really good blue innate magic user. So kind of like for most of the fights going forward up until the last two, really, all these bosses are essentially going to be handled with a similar idea of strat, which is that we are going to try to, in between bosses' turns, well, first we're going to do Genius Magnify and everything to buff up Lena in the field, and then try to put 3 blues on the field, which is a prerequisite before using Frog Prince, and then get Frog Prince off. So the fights are kind of designed around trying to make sure that we can get that out before interrupted. It's not going to be that big of a deal for the Giant Gloop, because the Giant Gloop actually uses blue elements and doesn't affect any, like, our field effect. But like Taurusoid and fights going on after that, if you get 3 blues on the field and you get interrupted, it's detrimental to your time, because at that point you don't really have 3 more blues to try to fill the field with, and that means you are not getting Frog Prince off. So it's very important to count AP, and then also just be well aware what you're trying to do in the fights.
It was all that being said, it was just really nice of that dragon to drop the Frog Prince right as he croaked.
Yeah. Oh,
There
okay.
you
I missed it at first, but I got it.
So Hobbs, do you want to explain how this puzzle works?
I can kind of give you an idea of what we do to get through it.
Yeah.
Basically, on Deed's screen here, you see that Glenn, or she's speaking to this pedestal with the feet print on the ground. This, I believe, assigns the head, body, and tail to the characters. Correct?
Yep.
And then, that changes the configuration of the room. So you'll see it almost like there's like those little juts. Those will get rotated depending on the configuration of your party. The platform right outside, the blue one on the ground, that will allow you to swap the locations of the characters throughout your party. Because normally when you're pressing select, it'll only just bring the next character forward. It doesn't allow you to like swap, like, you know, the back to the front and so forth. So that allows you to get different configurations in the room. I hope that was...
Yeah, no, that was a good explanation.
Yeah, one thing you left out is that casually, that puzzle is really frustrating. Only because it's not exactly explained that hitting the select button changes your party order. You go up to the Dragoon statue and it tells you head, body, tail. You eventually figure it out when you step on that blue platform. But you need to know that select changes your party order, or else you cannot solve this puzzle.
Mm-hmm. And in the speed run, it's very nice because we really only need it to be in one configuration. Well, sorry, 2. So 1 configuration to hit the switch, and then the next configuration to get in the middle. Yeah. So if you're playing casually, you typically try to collect all the chests, and that's when it starts to get a little bit more complicated.
I will say it is very easy to do, but most runners avoided doing it. But that pillar in that first room has been missed many a time by many a runner on a good pace.
Even me.
I did it for the first time in my PB, actually.
Everybody does it.
Yep.
Oh,
So we
that
see-
was close.
Yeah, so we see that in this chest room, or this chest puzzle, there's a bat that's circling around the platforms. And the hitbox on this bat is surprisingly huge and difficult to find. With good movement and good understanding of where the bat can swoop in and get you, the runners can navigate this platform fairly quickly. Deeds had to pause here at the end, though, but Carbon probably won't have to. Yeah, Carbon's got it.
I believe there is like a faster movement through this room, but I feel like all of us have kind of defaulted to this consistent movement through here, and it seems to work pretty well.
Yeah, walking at certain spots makes it much less likely the bat will swoop in and get you. If you just run barrel through, you could make it, but it's more likely that he's going to get you.
I do believe, because Carbon is at 14, if I'm not mistaken, Magic, yeah, he's going to have to do the turn red strat. So this is actually where we're going to get to see some different variations of strats just based on 1 magic difference here.
Yeah, so for the giant gloop fight, we're going to use Magnify and Genius on Lena to boost up her magic, and then we're going to set up a full blue field to use the Frog Prince summon. And you might question why on Giant Gloop, who is a blue elemental enemy, why would you use a blue element summon? And the answer is that the summon elements are just that powerful. They do several hundred damage worth, and they're gonna, for both runners, gonna do well over 500, well, maybe like 530 or more damage. That's gonna be enough to take him out. Giant Gloop has a move called Taken, which you see on Carbon's screen. Has a chance of freezing your party member, giving them the flu, or anti-blue. And yeah, so
Both of
with
them
Frozen, you have to use the medicine as a backup to heal up whoever gets. Well, if it's Lena, you have to heal her up. If it's someone else, you could probably skip it. But for this fight, it's pretty beginner friendly because if you don't manage to set up a full blue field, all you have to do is just defend, and eventually Giant Gloop will give you a full blue field for you, which we see on Deeds' screen. So then you just get to level 5 stamina. Oh, Deeds just has the
She needs to do medicine on Lena, yeah.
yeah, she's got anti-blue status. But that's fine. Just a few extra turns.
Even if a party member only has flu, I typically do try to still cure in the battle. I know some people do like to cure it after the fight, but I don't know. The hopes of getting
I'm in
extra
that
flu-
boat too, Hobbs. I think it's a better time investment to use that in the fight if you're still setting up the blue field.
Yeah, it just seems to work out really well.
Oh, Deeds didn't kill. Interesting. I have to imagine it's not because of her magic. What happened is because I think that there was a couple more turns because she couldn't immediately Frog Prince. She defended across that the AP of Genius wore off or something.
I think so as well. But he's really close. Yeah, go for the melee. Go for the melee. Or not. Play
these
safe. Go for
situations-
Aqua.
So yeah, this is actually a good point of things that can happen. Deeds has has a plenty of a magic stat here. This is another thing that runners really have to keep an eye on, is that if fights go too long, buffs and debuffs will wear off.
Wait, I'm not sure if Deeds used Ice Blast, because that was a lot of damage. She did like well over like 150 damage with the Aqua Beams.
I didn't see it
That's-
either.
And that was after doing over 520. with the
Oh,
Frog Prince.
actually, she might not have, because remember she got the flu, so Taken might have anti-blued her
Yeah.
initially, and then she
Okay,
just
that
never-
makes sense.
Yeah.
I believe the Aqua Beam did 105, I think.
Does Carbon go for this here?
Yeah,
Probably
but
not,
with the combined of like Glenn's and Lena's, it was like over 150.
No, he backed
Oh,
out.
gotcha.
Oh, okay. He was making me nervous.
He was chicken.
Yeah, so there is a skip you can go there called Cybot skip, or you can do there. It's like around pixel perfect. You kind of get in that corner where you saw Carbon dancing around a little bit. However, if you fail it, it isn't a fight that you can just run away from and go around the guy. You're trapped in the corner. You have to fight it, and it's about a minute and a half time investment. And you only save about 10 seconds. So the risk to reward is the risk is high and the reward is low.
Yeah, so both Carbon and Deeds are in a section of Fort Dragonia where dodging enemies is really key. There are these two enemies, these paper boys, who are flat and roll up into a tube and turn invisible. And they're surprisingly tricky to dodge, especially this one on Carbon's screen, because we have a very poor visual of where he's at first. And but the good news is that if you accidentally hit them and get an encounter, you can run through them. There are some enemies in the game where you don't have invincibility frames after a fight, but luckily these are not one of them. So Dee's got the first dodge on her paper or half moon enemy.
I think the only
Well,
two enemies that I can think of with iframes are probably just ghosts in these. Or the wraiths.
Yes, yeah. Like in any percent, there's a few more. There are like the trolls in the sewers and the fish when you're doing the fish dance. But the fish are situational. But
Oh, bad start from Carbon all around. Had a miss on one of the twos and got Lena targeted. So this is a fight that when you're learning is one of the fights you really kind of have to put a lot of practice into, just because the AP is a little bit tighter on getting frog prints off, and you have to account for the fact of things like this. We saw him cure Lina because Taurusoid in all cases will get a second turn off, and if he happens to choose the same character out of the three twice, that's not Glenn, he'll basically murder them, and you can't get frog prints off really with two characters.
Right, and there's something to consider is Serge's HP. If Serge gets hit with the first attack and he has about 150 HP or more, he is almost guaranteed to survive getting hit a second time. So Lina's the only one who is going to cost us time if she gets hit. In the past, there was no backup for healing Lina. You just had to take the risk that he didn't do it. And if he did, you would probably have to run away after she gets knocked out. There was a revive strat to do, but that involved you having to do a second backdrop. Uh-oh. Looks like he hit. Deeds also got hit. Lina also got hit with. Alright, well, both runners are having a bit of a bad Taurusoid fight, which is nothing unusual. This fight is a bit of a troll.
Yeah, so we're going to see Carbon. Carbon's going into the Frog Prince turn. He has 11 AP that he has to work with. So Magnify was 1, Aqua Beam was 2. He's going to be counting to make sure that, just in case he has any misses, he should be way more than fine. But it is good practice to make sure that you are keeping up with how much AP you're using.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no. So this is like the risk you do with not doing a cure strat, is now Deeds is going to have to run.
Or revive.
Oh, or revive.
Well, she's choosing
Yeah.
to run. Yeah, with revive, you have to go through another round of defending and hope that Taurusoid doesn't hit Lina again. And more often than not, it will happen. Just bad luck. The Carbon finishes up Taurusoid. See what his stats are at. And that's a good reason why Deeds picked up the extra tablets, is just pretty much for this scenario. Taurusoid
Finally
just
got
doesn't
his
like
15 magic.
Yeah, at this point, you want Lina to have about 16 magic for the next fight, but 15 is going to be okay.
Yeah.
It might cost him a bit
15
more time.
15 at Son of a Gun coming up. Besides like just the AP start, it at least gives you the chance, as long as you have the magic ring, to skip Kissy Wissy. 16 will guarantee it almost. I want to say will guarantee it, but 15 becomes a damage roll on Frog Prince, whether or not it kills, and you get to skip Kissy Wissy.
Okay, so on Deed's screen, Taurusoid hit Glenn, which is the ideal target. So Glenn is green element, and so is Taurusoid. That means Glenn resists his attacks especially. So Glenn will almost never get knocked out by 2 hits from Taurusoid, unless he has absurdly low HP. Like we're talking like 185 or less. So she should be in the clear for this fight.
Man, on Deeds' screen though, although it's fine now, Taurusoid does not like Lina.
Nope. Yeah, on Carbon's screen, we're coming up on one of my favorite puzzles. Just a bit of a compass orientation puzzle, but for us, all we have to do is choose the south option, and that takes us straight to the red pillar. If you wanted to fight all the enemies and collect all the treasure chests, you'd have to navigate that statue accordingly, but for the run, we don't have to really worry about it.
In chat, Excalibration says, "I do enjoy how seriously you can say Kissy Wissy without missing a beat."
Yeah.
Well, Kissy Wissy is no laughing matter, okay? That's 30 seconds. No, but Deeds does get Frog Prince off. Should be plenty enough magic. Yeah, 1029. That is so much damage.
Yeah, fair warning to all viewers. On Carbon's screen, we're going to come up on the Son of a Gun fight. It's a bit creepy looking. Looks like a clown or, I don't know. Just it's general nightmare fuel. So if you're sensitive to that, I'd suggest looking away and just listening for the fanfare cue afterward. But for this fight, there's two ways. Well, there's more than two ways it can go, but two general ways it can go. One is Carbon's going to hit with Serge, do a 1-1. And if he misses a bunch and then Son of a Gun gets a turn, or goes immediately after that, then he's going to have to do a backup strat, because if Lena is able to go after that, she can hit like a 2-3 or a 3-3, and then everybody will have all the stamina points they need to set up the blue field for Frog Prince. Welp. Okay. I saw the miss, so I was like, uh-oh. So Carbon's
he's
doing
going-
a turn red strat, which, yeah, I'm not too familiar with this. So
I'm not
hopefully I
either.
get well.
I was told that, because I don't use turn red strats anymore, but I do think that you potentially can get off Frog Prince if you get a really good AP start, which he didn't. So he is going to see Kissy Wissy. So the problem with Kissy Wissy here is Kissy Wissy will potentially freeze somebody.
Mwah!
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
Serge. So this whole thing, the Kissy Wissy and mode change, is just a bunch of time that is wasted that could be skipped with good stats and so forth. But then we have Glenn use the Panacea to save whoever got either put to sleep. I think it's just sleep is what Kissy Wissy does. But Deeds might be able to get the good start and skip all this extra stuff that Carbon's doing. So she'll be able to catch up a little bit. Potentially.
Yep, it mainly comes down to the accuracy and the AP roll in the start for Deeds, because she has the magic for it.
That's one of the reasons why the crafting the upgraded ladle for Lena is really, really nice, especially for like this fight. Just getting those, helping ensure those hits is just so crucial.
Right.
440, yeah. Son of a Gun has 383 HP, and that did well over 400 damage. So,
Goodbye, creepy grandpa.
all right. The nightmare has been slain, but
But another
the
one is
nightmare is
about to
going to show up
begin.
on Deed's screen on the left side. So prepare yourself.
Yeah, and on Carbon's side, we're heading to the last 3 bosses of the run. So it's the home stretch.
Yeah, interestingly enough, the next boss coming up is one of the most dangerous in the run. Carbon could potentially just get a game over, but he's a very experienced runner, so I don't think he'll risk. I hope he won't risk the potential game over if it happens to him. He could always run away and try again and get a better start for that next fight.
Oh, okay. So Deeds did swing. She missed one of the 3s with Lena. However, she got the good AP start, so she should be able to get the Frog Prince off before Kissy Wissy happens. But it is very crucial now that Lena doesn't miss because she didn't hit the other one. Okay, and she didn't.
Yeah.
So she should be good.
All right, everybody's good. So Glenn didn't miss, Lena didn't miss, so everything should be fine. Yeah, and although Son of a Gun has very little HP, Son of a Gun's defenses are very high. So you see that Aqua Beam only doing 1 damage. That's genuine.
Yeah, and as the Frog Prince is happening on Deed's screen, we're about to see Carbon go for the setup. You can dodge his Dragoon, and he is doing the setup. Oh!
Or
Oh,
just
he got
back
it,
up and run into him, you know.
Yeah, I think what happened is he was going for the setup, which does work. He was just a little bit off cadence on moving with the Dragoon, and it just kind of ran into him. You can potentially just not even have to do the setup and skip and run past it, depending on where the Dragoon spawns at. Oh. Yikes. He accidentally went to go around after the fight ended and reset the room by running out. So now he's got to redo the whole thing.
Oh, okay, Carbon.
Yeah.
Okay, calm down.
Yeah, what
Yeah,
Handy was
it's-
just. Or, go ahead.
Go ahead, Hobbs. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
That's okay. I was saying what Handy was just talking about with the placement as you enter the room. If you see the Dragoon at one of the like against the wall or towards the towards the screen, if he's facing towards one of those towards the wall, it takes time for him to turn around. So that gives you enough time to just slip past without having to
Did
do the
Carbon
setup.
just run into a bat?
The
Yeah,
bat ran
I
into
think-
Carbon.
I think Carbon is a little bit flustered, which is understandable. So that the stairwell guard that Carbon's having trouble with used to be a guard that was almost not impossible to dodge, but very unlikely that you would not run into him. It's only been the past like year or so that people have developed ways to get around him. But even so, it's still kind of tough to do. As far as the bat, bats are bats. Bats are awful in this game. They just get in your way, and there's not much you can do about them. So.
Yep.
Yeah, those
but
two-
Carbon. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, those 3 encounters that Carbon just had was essentially a minute of time loss there. So, but anyway.
Yeah, and he's heading into the Bunyip fight as Deeds gets ready to do the Dragoon skip. This fight is going to have 2 phases, and we started with a 3-3. Got a really good AP start. So, Corporate mentioned that, and I don't think it's going to be a problem that we're going to see here because they both have good magic. But if, like, say they didn't have, like, the Ice Blast and Lena had low magic, there's a potential for a wipe here because we're going to magnify the field in turn 1. And after the Magma Bomb that Bunyip does, his next turn is going to be Inferno.
Uh-oh.
So if we do a
2
Magnify
misses.
here,
Yeah, is he gonna risk it or run? It's safer to run. Thinking about it.
I think he's going to go for it. Okay, so he has 2 more things he has to do here. He's going to run up.
Okay.
He's going to do, well, he didn't have to run up now. He can just do a Genius. Yeah. And then he's going to do an Ice Blast. No, he's fine. He should be fine.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
he was just
alright.
taking the time to recount, just to make sure.
Yeah, the bad part is that his second phase, he's gonna start the second phase with low stamina.
That's true.
So he's almost certainly gonna see Graviton, maybe another attack from Bunyip.
Or just a slow. If he gets a good AP roll, it could be just slow because he can run up to a 1, and then Lena's going to be at 1. And it's just, yeah, I mean, it's still not going to be pretty, but yeah, so he is getting stamina up like this. Yeah, he has a good AP roll from the second phase.
And although this is a second phase of the boss, it's actually considered a second enemy. And the AP value for his starting attack starts at the beginning of the first phase, so it's very possible for him to go immediately as soon as he transforms.
Yeah, that's true. This is one of the only bosses in the game. Well, there's one of the only that can 0 roll you because the phase change.
And so you see Deeds is caught up. She's entering phase 2 while Carbon is setting up the Frog Prince. This will not do enough damage. There's a potential for Lena. If she has like 21 or more magic, she could just flat out defeat Bunyip with this Frog Prince. But neither runner has that potential right now. So they're going to either opt to have Serge use Luminaire, the white element, level 5 white element attack, or Serge will use Aqua Ball +1. But Carbon's going to have to see this Graviton, whereas... yeah, it looks like Deeds is going to miss the Graviton. So yeah, Deeds is caught up quite a bit.
This will kill. Carbon opting to do... I didn't see what his magic was from Serge, but he's opting to do Luminaire just to make sure that it kills. Luminaire is a little bit slow, but it is more powerful, and it does finish. And that will be essentially the last fight where Lena is the MVP. She will be used to basically help buff up Glenn or Serge, mainly Glenn, in the next coming fights, but that was basically the whole purpose of getting Lena.
Yeah, she will use I don't know if you just said that, Handy. I blinked out for a second, but she will use a Bush Basher on the General Viper fight.
I
And
didn't
she's
say that,
also
that's true.
useful as a backup for the Lynx 2 fight itself. If you happen to have extremely bad luck where Lynx knocks out Serge or Glenn early, or kind of late towards the fight, you can have her run up and do a 2-2 and use Ice Blast, and that's decent damage. But yeah, Carbon's in the home stretch.
Yep, this is very close. I haven't been keeping up with Lena's Surge. I mean, not Lena. God, Deeds' Surge. Since it was like he's been really powerful, but I wonder what he's at right now going into the end. He's actually only 23. That's low compared to where he was.
Yeah, but at 27 Glenn with the Power Glove, that's extremely powerful. Yeah, she'll have a. I think both runners, because I'm not sure where Glenn was at. I think I last saw Carbon had a 25 strength Glenn. But regardless, they're pretty strong and should have a pretty relatively quick Lynx 2 fight. The difference between like low strength and high strength Glens for that fight is just like an extra round of combat, maybe 2. But
Did you say that so Glenn is at 27?
yeah, that's what I saw.
And I believe she also has 2 power gloves like
Yep.
still on. So potentially depending on the AP roll here, she could skip G-Force from Viper.
Yeah, for the general Viper fight, we're gonna set up Glenn. He's been in the back pocket of the party as just support for chip damage, but now he's back to the main field, so he could deal all the melee damage he wants. We're gonna set him up with a Eagle Eye and Strengthen in this fight, and if we're lucky enough such that General Viper does not go in between that setup, then likely both Carbon and Deeds are gonna skip G-Force, as Handy mentioned, which is just an extra attack that General Viper does. It's a bit slow, but that's about it. Maybe like 10-second time loss, I guess.
Yeah, Viper doesn't tend to be ever really like endangering of the run dying or anything like that.
All right, Carbon got it. Got the
Ooh,
good
good
start at
start.
least.
I feel like this is one of those fights that I personally rarely see the good start here. Like he always
Same.
goes for like after like 1 or 2 for me.
I'm like 50-50 on getting G4 skip or not. But it all depends on Glenn's stats too.
So he is going for it. He did the 2 Sonic Sword because this is what the strat is to skip it. So we'll see if he gets it.
Yeah,
And he does.
that's some high damage on the Sonic Sword.
I think, yeah, chat said that Carbon's Glen is at 28, so
Yep, 28. 29 now. What a
that is
monster.
high.
Oh, no handy drop.
No handy drop. So as Deeds sets up Glenn for the Viper fight, we see Carbon heading into the last fight of the race.
Looks like I didn't see if General Viper went early. He did not. So Deeds also got the skip. So she'll be able to skip G-Force as well.
Well, I don't know. She did a lot of attacks with Lena here, and she's gonna 3-3 with Glenn, but that's gonna give up the turn for. I think she's still gonna see G-Force. I don't think the skills.
9,000 miss.
Yeah, I don't think it would have killed regardless, but it does suck to get a 99 miss.
It might have. That might have been like a strat that Carbon wrote down or something. But yeah, I haven't seen Lena hit so much. That was new to me.
With this amount of HP on Serge for Carbon, like I think he's at much less of a risk of dying. But typically, you do need to worry about Serge dying during this fight, especially if he gets glide hooked right off the bat.
Both their Glens are so high, and neither one of them got handy drop, so that's good.
Hmm.
Yeah, especially if it gets a crit here. No, right.
Okay, for Carbon. Lynx decided to opt to not kill Glenn here, which is good.
Yeah, it looks like Deeds is about almost 4 minutes ahead of her PB.
Ooh.
Yeah, very nice.
It looks like Lena got hit by that aqua ball and got the flu.
Carbon going for Luminaire for the extra white on the field so that this attack from Glenn will ensure the kill. Yep, there it goes.
Yep, and that's going to be
GG's for Carbon.
for Carbon.
GG for Carbon. Strength +2.
That's a 30 Glen.
Yeah, 30 strength Glenn.
That might be the highest I've ever seen.
Same.
I've gotten 30 like twice. I've had a few 29 strength Glens, but yeah, it's rare, very rare.
Yeah, I think 28 might be the highest I've ever had.
Also, do you want to talk about, like, we did talk about Deeds being on PB pace, but not only that, like, the race they were in the same fight when this ended, so this has been really close.
Is Carbon actually gonna carry this on into any percent?
I don't think so.
Yeah, this is not acceptable for his standards. Yeah, Rango Fed asked the question, do you get more or less star fights by going the Gaia route? I believe it's the same. You get 2. Which is the guard fight and then the final boss fight at the top of the cliffs.
I think all the different routing, the game actually kind of makes it so you have the even number of star fights, even though they might be different one fights. Like that Dragoon that's in the fort. If you actually do the save kid route, that Dragoon is not a star fight.
Right. That is GG for Deeds as well, and I believe a PB.
Yeah. Congrats, Deeds.
That is actually a 5 minute and 11-second PB for Deeds. That's a big PB.
Very nice. And we might have an interview with both Carbon and Deeds if they feel like it.
Menard in chat asked if there was a 100% category for the game. As far as the leaderboards, there's only the all characters, which I guess some people could consider that 100%. I believe only one person has done like 100% category, like collecting all items and everything, but it's not really run.
As far as you know, Connor Cordell was working on it, but it's very difficult to define that category. So.
Yep. Carbon, did you want to say something or Deeds?
Yeah, GG Carbon.
Yeah, GG Silver. Congrats on the PB.
Thank you, thank you. Congrats on the gal route. Success.
Debatable, but yeah. Yeah. No, that was interesting. Guile, he carried some weight with what happened. So.
What key did you get?
Technically I got second, but I ran from a 4 enemy fight, and I was just like, I'm gonna go check the second key anyway. So.
Oh, I had a 4 enemy fight too. Those things are the worst.
Yeah, that was weird, Carbon. I thought you did something like that, but I wasn't sure because I'm like, you were starting the key section, and then all of a sudden you were at the second guy. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I grabbed the panaceas, and then confirmed the 4 enemy, and then just was I could have sat like a second and taken the fight, but I don't know. A feeling just told me that it would never be first key. So, yeah. The Guile route, it was so there were a lot of cool things that I didn't get to show off because Guile kept missing. But the way that I learned that his elements work is that he gets his at least on his heavy attack, is that the final enemy in the list of enemies, which tends to be the rightmost, you have to hit that one to get the element level. So on my guard fights, especially the Ford guard, I was trying to just do a 3-3 into a magma bomb, but because he kept missing, they would have fallen like he was bowling. But it just never happened. So.
Yeah, I was interested, Carbon. After that fight, and you got picked up the turn yellow, were you planning to do the guard skip from the top portion?
Yeah, that was my intent. I had never tried it.
Yeah, like
the most I routed was to the fight that Guile's route does. So yeah, it didn't work, and I was like, why? And then I was trying to go down to get the normal guard, and then I just ran into their range.
Yeah, so Deeds, you had the powerful Serge. How'd you feel about that opening?
It was nice not to have to worry about my stats for once. Although I'm still mad at the game for, like, of course, it still wouldn't give me the 2 humors, so I still had to go in and do the partial menu. Which I had the power glove anyway, so the partial menu didn't make me feel bad. Because then I could just equip that at the same time, so. And steady state.
What else?
Favorite bit. Yeah, I wish I had thought of the mail earlier. That way I wouldn't have gone back to the blacksmith. But I was glad. I don't know. At the,
I think it
if I
worked
had,
out.
if I knew that Glenn was going to be this strong, I would have skipped it. But yeah.
So when is the Nikki route?
So I actually was looking at that and debating it. It's I actually think it's faster than the Guile route, but I also tested with like fast forward.
Yeah.
One of the things that I initially thought would like make it kind of nice is that there's a deluge chest, which is the level 5 blue element that does AoE damage, but you can't actually get it until later. So it's just not good.
I was thinking
Right.
with the Guile route and using the Eagle Eye on Guile, doing the AoE damage to all your enemies with your level 3 hits. But the thing is, you don't even get Eagle Eye until you're done using Guile. So, that's out of the window.
Yeah, that's true.
I can't wait to
Well,
like go back and look at your your side of the race. I'm really curious how long Guile actually took you to get through.
I think just the difference between Guile and Pierre, it was like 6 minutes or so. Mostly all in just text. Because the movement I did was pretty. I was actually surprised. I was able to get through the climbing section without a problem. I kept getting hit by boulders and the water kept pushing me off multiple times in testing. So
Well, that Korcha boat scene, it just takes forever.
yeah.
More reasons to not like Korcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really close race. Pretty much throughout the whole race, like Deeds was either ahead or just behind, and then kind of lost time at the very start of Fort Dragonia, but caught back up on the Bunyip fight. Carbon, you ran into all those the guard and the bats, but
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I listened to you at the end about the Dragoon thing. That was my bad. And Handy was right. I was off cadence with like when the Dragoon kind of lunges at you. But
But then you stepped back out the door, and then you had to go through the.
yeah, that was a
Dragoon.
mistake.
This
With
thing-
the fade in, my analog was just wrong angle. So yeah, GG's. I'm gonna mute up.
Yep.
yeah, GG's
GG's.
everybody.
Yeah. GG's to both of you.
Thanks everybody for watching.
GG's to the runners in the commentary. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. again for Isopony versus Azalea. We'll be sending everyone over to High Spirits. High Spirits, someone that helped us out a lot with the first Chrono Series relay we had last year, and we're hoping to have again this year at the beginning of October. Just helped us out a lot with the restreaming and taught us so we can hopefully make this event as smooth as possible. So everyone, thank you again for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow. Everyone have a good night, be safe, and we'll check you then. All right.